You should be.
1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be going on about someone faster than a speeding bullet. Look out! It's Kal-El. Well, wait, Crow. I guess that Crow
Faster than
can't.
a more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Superman.
Otherwise known as Crow.
That's the way TV series used to go back in the 50s. But we're talking about Man of Steel, 2013 movie. Yes, it is now 10 years old. And if you remember when it came out and watching it, can you believe it's 10 years old? I cannot. But this is starring, there's a huge cast, but we have Henry Cavill as our mild mannered reporter, who isn't a mild mannered reporter to the end of it, and also Superman, aka Clark Kent, aka Kal-El. So we have Diane Lane as Martha Kent. We have Kevin Costner as John. We have Russell Crowe as Jor-El, otherwise known as Superman's dad. I'm not sure who played Laura or Laura L. I don't know. I don't know. She was good, but don't know who played. Then of course we have uh, um, oh, now my brain just farted. Lois Lane. I said it earlier. Amy Adams.
Amy Adams.
Of course, thanks for saying it for a second. So, Amy Adams did an awesome job. So, this movie had a lot of criticism and a lot of people divided on it. Oh no, Superman kills God. This is the first time. Oh wait, it's not the first time we saw this. Wait, back in Superman 2 with Christopher Reeve. Oh, he kills Cheryl Zod in that. Oh, and Lois kills Ursula, and Non kills himself. But nobody cried about that. I guess it's just the world we live in these days. But people want to cry about it. Also about the destruction. People were killed. Duh! They're fighting in the city. Of course, people are gonna get killed. Save everybody. Sorry. Did he try to prevent from being killed? Yes. Did Zod play ball? No, because he wanted to kill people. So people died. When you have a superhuman villain and army of superhuman villains, people are gonna die.
Pretty much, yeah. Even
Stop crying.
even for Superman, if it's like a huge apocalyptic battle going on, it's very unlikely that no one around is going to die.
Exactly. Everyone's gonna be safe. No. And that's why the issue with the second movie with Batman, going after Superman. I mean, I saw his point, but I really don't believe that Batman would do that. And I know it's based on a comic book written that he did do that. But the Batman I read and I know, and that I don't think the Batman I read and I know would come up with that conclusion that Superman needs to be brought down. I believe a a plan in case Superman did go bad. But I automatically go after Superman. Oh, line of 1% chance that he's bad. I have to stop him. Line. I don't believe that. I understand he made a more cynical Batman. He's much older and more cynical than other Batmans. Still, didn't like that. But that's the movie. That's not really meant to, but sort of the sequel. because we never got Man of Steel 2. Thanks a lot, DC. Fuck off to you too. But anyways, yeah, Man of Steel, phenomenal movie. So let's go around and see if this is a first time watch for anybody. Dave, is this a first time watch for you? And if not, tell us when you saw it for the first time.
No, this is not a first time watch for me. I'm not. I actually don't remember whether I actually watched this in the theater. I don't think that I did, but I did watch it once it became available. And I know that I remember seeing the 1950s Superman. I also remember watching the animated Super Friends, as well as Max Fleshman's Superman, which there's a lot of history in the DC world with Superman.
Good show.
Back when he was just straight exercise leotard with a cape.
Oh, radio show. It was a Superman radio show. No, they talked and told the story. That was the first. I mean, you can't call it a series. I guess radio series, a serial, as they called it back then, of Superman. I mean, they already came out with a comic back in 1938. I think we may as well, since we're going back, we may as well tell the story. Superman, 1938, and originally was kind of anti-war, and Superman then was way different. First of all, he only had the strength of 10 men. He did not fly. He could leap really high, but he didn't fly. Somehow, for some reason, he changed the way he looked, so he could look like somebody else, impersonate other people. Which is something they got rid of, which I'm kind of glad at. It's really weird. And they ended up giving him way more powers, which again I agree with. Yeah. So originally he could leap high. He was only as strong as 10 men, and he was a master of disguise, which is weird. And 1938, Lois was still Lois, but the way they wrote it was still. But Lois still worked with the planet and stuff. But Perry would give Clark all the great assignments because she was a woman.
Yeah, and I always remember the 1950s when George Reeves would end up going inside the telephone booth, or it would always be a telephone booth,
Oh, that was great. But I was talking about the comic. But yeah, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to.
And of course, I did get into what was it, Lois and Clark when that came out.
Clark was awesome.
And also the Superman movies, no matter how bad they got, because they did get low budget after a time.
Christopher Reeve was great. I loved 3. 4 had its moments, but
I mean, there is also a history of in the actor universe of Superman because George Reeves evidently was murdered at one point in time.
Oh,
if I remember correctly, during the Black Dahlia stuff.
Supposedly, it's on record that he shot himself. But yeah, there's a big conspiracy behind that. And if you watch the Hollywood, which is very interesting, Ben Affleck plays Reeves. So Ben Affleck plays George Reeves, who played Superman. So he technically played Superman before he played Batman. It's very good movie too. If you haven't
And so, Also, we got Christopher Reeves with his. What wasn't it? He had a
You
horse
forgot,
riding accident, and
you forgot George Reeves.
yeah, it's Christopher Reeve.
You forgot George Reeves.
I didn't. George
You
Reeve.
did. You said George Reeves. You didn't say George Reeves. There was two with almost the same name. First one played the first Superman in the very first TV radio show, and
Oh yeah, that's right.
he died or killed himself or something, and then George Reeves took over, and then he died, and of course Christopher Reeves took over, and he became a paraplegic after being thrown off a horse, and eventually died.
But yeah.
So I don't think it was curse Superman. It was curse of the Reeves type names and playing Superman, because on wood, Brian Roth is fine. Hedgehog is fine, and technically Ben Affleck fine. So I think it was just that particular type of name. We had three.
Well, Kirk Allen.
Almost
Kirk
same
Allen
name.
played Superman in 1948.
I'm sorry, what?
Kirk Allen played Superman in 1948.
Okay, but there was
there was also Superman versus the Atom Man.
There was definitely another Reeves that played Superman.
There was a Steve Reeves, which was George Reeves' father, I believe, and he played Hercules.
I know that.
So,
I know he played Hercules. Yeah, I'm talking about there was another George Reeves.
No, there was only the.
Yeah, everything you read on the internet is right.
There was George Reeves, and then there was Christopher
Reeves. Trust me, and I didn't get this from the internet. Okay, I got this from TV and radio. You know, those things we used to watch before those things on the internet. Okay, you actually did find information about it. Okay, so growing up, I heard about it on the internet for some reason. Maybe nobody found out about that. Nobody who knew wrote it down. I don't know. I don't know why it's not there. I just know that it's true, and I'm telling you. So just because you read it, and it's not there, that doesn't mean it didn't exist. Because the internet doesn't know everything. Okay, now we're done with that. Are you done with your fresh impressions? Or are you still going?
For the most part, I enjoyed this adaptation of Superman. I mean, at least it wasn't. At least the suit wasn't as beasted up as it was in Superman Returns, which, if you remember, that was like the first reboot that we got of the Superman character, which had Brandon Ruth.
Actually, I'm not sure that was a reboot. Story-wise, I think it was set in the same storyline with the Christopher Reeve movies.
Okay, so yes, you're right, Boris. Partially, it was supposed to be a sequel. It was a sequel partially, but the morons that wrote the story decided to just recreate the first storyline. But he came back to Earth and then found he had a kid and all that. That was the sequel part of it. But the whole Lex Luthor destroying part of the world to have Lex World or whatever, same exact fucking plot of the first movie, and that was stupid. And that's why
controversy about
that's why
being
bombed.
here.
That's why they bombed, okay? But the actors did a fucking great job. Kevin Spacey knocked it out of the pocket to Lex Luthor. Brandon Roth was an incredible Superman.
What I will,
we got to see him as Superman again, because he did an awesome job as Superman.
What I will say is that Henry Cavill, he is so much a gamer outside of
Yeah,
acting. He was playing World of Warcraft when he was,
yeah.
and he missed a call from Zack Snyder.
Warhammer is Warhammer he was playing, not one. He was playing Warhammer, and he missed the call that he got to the role of Superman because he was busy playing with his model because he paints all his models for Warhammer. He's doing a Warhammer TV show.
I don't know. Wikipedia says World of Warcraft.
It's not World of Warcraft. It's Warhammer. And it's a TV show. I watched the documentary. He does play WoW. WoW, he still does. But it's Warhammer is his true passion. I don't know nothing about Warhammer. It looks to me a lot like kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons, a futuristic thing. But they do have figurines, and stuff, which they do in Dungeons and Dragons too. I never did myself.
Well, my point was that he was so busy gaming that he missed Zack Snyder's call that, oh, you got the role. So
yeah, he's a huge nerd, and
but I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the several scenes in this movie, and I think it wasn't a bad version of Superman.
It wasn't a bad version. It's the best version. But that's not the point. But okay. So I just want to say one more thing before we move on to Boris. What the hell I want to say? I'll think of it in a minute. Go ahead, Boris.
Sorry, what did you say?
Is this your first time watching Superman?
Oh, well, no, it's not actually. I saw this movie in theaters back in 2013. Now, the problem is I was going to rewatch it yesterday for our discussion, but I ended up having some unexpected personal situations to resolve, which took a lot of time, and unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to rewatch the movie, so I read the plot on Wikipedia, so I will have to go by that and by memory of what I saw 10 years ago. So I apologize in advance if I'm not as active in the conversation as usual.
What did you think about that time period when you saw it? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yes, definitely. I liked it a lot. I probably also thought it was the best version of Superman I had ever watched. Maybe. Maybe those old ones with Christopher Reeve. Maybe one thing I maybe like about those better than this one is that they were kind of less serious, had more humor. They were more like casual fun, while this one is much more serious and more realistic. Well, okay, not sure how much we can even use the word realistic in a story like this, but yeah, as we have mentioned already, it's even if a person like Superman existed, it would be very unlikely that if he was in the middle of a battle that he would be able to save like thousands of people without a single one of them dying. So yeah, this movie is, I would say, more realistic than other versions of Superman and more serious, more suspenseful.
I'm sure people
So
Christopher Reeve's version. You just didn't see it. They didn't show it, you know? That's the only difference, is that you just didn't see it. Well, except for you saw Zod die. And no.
I don't have an issue with Zod dying. I actually don't understand why did other people have a problem with that.
You and me both, brother. You and me both.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Apparently, yeah, Zod. Did he kill him in the original Superman?
Superman 2.
That's what I thought. So if
Yeah,
he died there, why?
yeah, and
Why is there?
let's talk about that for a moment, okay? In Superman 2, okay, we're at the Fortress of Solitude, and Lex Luthor um, uh, is pretending to be on Superman's side against the three people because he realized they're gonna kill him and everything. So he switches sides or
Yeah, seen
actually.
it.
So Superman tells him, make sure they stay away from that chamber over there, because it'll um uh, till they keep me away from that chamber because I'll lose all my powers if I in there. So Lex think he immediately tells him, "Oh, put him in that chamber, his powers." So they put Superman in the chamber and turn the thing on, and Superman goes down on his knees and he looks like he's completely powerless. And he turns out Aaron Stamp, who plays Zod, says kneel before Zod. He was always saying that in the movies. Of Joe Alf and before he says that's the last thing he ever does. That's what's going to happen. So Superman starts to kneel down, and then he puts Zod puts his hand out with a ring on it. He says, "Kiss my hand," and Superman grabs his hand and starts squeezing. And we see Zod's face as he starts in severe pain as his hand's being crushed. As Superman stands up, holds up Zod over his head, and throws a now human or a now powerless villain into the bottomless pit of the Fortress of Solitude, thereby killing him. Or if he didn't die, he's still falling forever or whatever, which could be worse than death. So, and of course, Lois turns around and punches Ursula when she realizes that Ursula is a powerless too, and she didn't like that bitch. So she punches her. She falls over, and no one's a moron. So he goes and tries to fly, and he falls over and kills himself. So yes, it was not as quite as vicious as Superman to kill him in this version, but he still, bottom line, killed them and they were powerless. He didn't need to kill them. He could have easily put them in prison since they were powerless now. But and even after he threw him down, he could have saved him, and he did not. And no one had an issue with that. Now that I think of it that way, I'm kind of like, wow, that's fucked up. Because I didn't think of it as a kid. Even older times I watched it and didn't think of it. Now I'm actually like, wow, I'm not going to think of it. So put that in your hat and smoke it. Now in this version, Zod has all his powers and says, if you don't kill me, I will kill every single one of these human beings. He forced him. He told him. Zod maybe all these things. He's not a liar. He
Well,
told him, if
and a
you
little bit
stop
before
me,
that,
I will kill everybody. A he had a family, a mother and father and two kids hostage that he was going to kill. And Superman made a choice to take out Zod, saving the family and the millions of people that Zod could have killed if he had let him go, and he chose to kill him. So did he have a choice? No, he didn't really have a choice. Superman is to save people. Does he kill? Not unless he has to. Okay, that's the difference. On and all, Superman goes 99% of the time he won't kill. But if there's a no way out, he
And I
will.
think that's what people are upset about.
Because
Really, the
they
fact that Superman
over
actually
they
killed.
over idolize the idea of Superman.
Uh,
Superman is, but
oh,
that doesn't mean and in that choice there was no choice. Zod had as much power as him and had been a general. Okay, he knew how to fight. He still had other people with him that had the same powers. Okay, he had to be, and he refused to be arrested. He refused to stay. He refused to do anything but stop or kill people. Hell out. No choice.
yeah, I think it's stupid that people are making a big deal out of that. I mean, it's not like he killed any good person. He killed fucking Zod.
He's
If
still.
there is
Nobody
anything
cried.
that this
Nobody
movie
cried.
is missing,
Doomsday.
if there is anything that this movie is missing, is maybe like as Superman is now an adult, you didn't get to see a montage of him actually saving people. You saw in his teenage years that he
I agree. We also missing Jimmy Olsen.
huh
We also missing Jimmy Olsen.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
but you really don't get to see like a good side of Superman, uh, where people of like Metropolis or people in general actually look at Superman and be like, "Wow, I want to be Superman. I want Superman to be my hero." That kind of thing, you know.
We did have. Doesn't happen as much as before, but we did have in the 50s, or maybe in the 30s and 40s. I don't know, 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. Little kids going to the hospital because they were jumping off the roof of their house or onto another building or shed or whatever and hurting themselves because they thought they could fly. Because
Oh,
so unfortunately, we had some stupid kids trying to imitate Superman, but uh, yeah, he was forced for this, and
I do
like
have a Superman joke though, if
what?
anybody wants to hear it.
I do.
Okay, so there's a guy. He goes into a bar and he there's another guy sitting at the bar
I
already,
know this joke.
and he goes up to the bar, and the guy goes and the other guy goes runs out the window, uh, comes back into the bar room and sits back down. And the guy who walked
Okay,
into the bar,
okay, go
he's
ahead.
he's like, "Hey, that's cool. I should be able to go do that." So he runs out the window and falls to his death. The bartender goes over to the other fella and is like, "You know what, Superman? You're a real asshole when you're drunk."
Now, I want to tell my version of that story, that joke, or I should say. So, there's this guy at the bar, and he's drinking, and there's another guy at the bar, he's drinking. He goes, "You know what? I'm gonna go up to the roof, but I can jump off, and fly right back up." So they all go up out to the roof, and because they want to see this, and he jumps off, flies back up, flies right back up. The other guy's like, "Wow, that's absolutely amazing." He's like, "Do it again." He's like, "All right." He jumps off, flies right back up. The guy like, "Can I do that?" Like, "Sure." The other guy jumps off, falls to his death. And the bartender turns to the other guy and says, "You know, Clark, you're a real asshole when you're drunk." Now, there's a nut. So I changed that slightly version because they said the person that died was of a certain ethnic race that I just don't want to tell that kind of joke, but just to let you know that's what the original joke did say. Yeah. So I changed it, made it better.
Well, and to be honest, you could probably put whoever the fuck you wanted to hate or hate in that situation.
Or
And
another guy to make it
yep,
instead of hitting it. But you're right. Well, I think the rooftop works better because you said they just throw them out the window, and usually bars are on the first floor of a building, so that's not that big of a deal. So unless the bar was on like a third or fourth floor, I just saying. I mean, that that's why I think the roof works better. And of course, instead of saying Superman, he says Clark. So to make people figure out, oh, it's Superman, and that one makes you kind of laugh instead of telling them right off the bat. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I just wanted to share both versions of the joke.
and
So
I
it's
do have to say, this is the best beginning ever.
it is really great. But I got one more joke to tell before we go on.
Okay.
So Superman's flying, and he looks down on the beach, and there's Wonder Woman completely naked. So Superman's gonna be a little naughty, so he's gonna fly down and get a little naked. So he flies down and boom, boom, and then flies off. And all of a sudden, the Invisible Man goes, "What the hell? I just feel my ass." All right, back. Let's start the movie. So the movie starts like the original with Christopher Reeve on the planet of Krypton. This time we actually get to see the birth of Kal-El, of Superman, as his mother Laura is in labor, and she's yelling and all that other stuff that happens during labor. Um, and they obviously don't. I don't even see any robots or anything assisting with the birth. Now I know there would be no other people because the birth is kind of against the law, I guess, and so no one else would be there. But I would think they would have some kind of technical something that would help with the birth. But anyways, so it looked like it was a natural birth, completely natural, no drugs or anything. But she gives birth, and Jor-El holds his son, his hands, and we get to see the screaming, crying Kal-El, and it was a really good scene. Of course, we don't hear his name. Scene. We don't hear his name until a little bit further down the line. So we also get a scene where Jor-El is arguing with council people um, of a nearby where they bring people in like, are you we and evacuate the whole planet, and he's like, "Oh no, Krypton is gone. It's late. We should save if we can." And right at this moment, as it's convinced that the door busts open, Zod and a bunch of other people are flying in with guns, and he comes in, says, this council has been dissolved, and the woman that was talking to Jor-El says, by whose authority? It is mine, and he shoots her, shoots someone else, and the rest of you will be tried and punished. Jor-El stands up and he's not the same, but he goes over and says, this is madness. What are you doing? And Zod goes to the seat and says, we need take out the bloodline, the bad bloodline. And Joe's like, well, who decides that? You? And Zod's like, join me, don't be my enemy. And he's like, I'll honor you for the man you used to be, not the monster you become. And they he tells them to arrest Jor-El, and they start taking him away, and they're being led down. Those guardian things, I can't remember what they're called. There was one in the Forest of Solitude. Came and he thought to it, and it blinded the people, physically assaulted them and took their weapons and knocked them out. And actually got to see Jor-El doing some fisticuffs and doing some and stuff, which is pretty cool. And he has to fight away, and then he rides on like a wyvern like creature that was pretty damn badass looking. And tells Laura communicates to Laura to get the ship ready and their son ready. And he'll be there as soon as he can.
And she's having second thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, does discuss it with him that she because she has to give up his son and her son. And she don't think she can do it, and he reminded her that Krypton's gonna blow up. Krypton's gonna be gone. This is his only chance for his son to live on. They're not gonna live on. There's nothing they can do for their son. Their
Now,
legacy.
do they necessarily say exactly why Krypton is actually going to be destroyed or whatnot?
They don't in this version, but if anybody knows the story of Superman, they know it. So, the planet, I believe it's something to do with the resources, and I think they use too much resources and everything. Our sun, because it's red, I believe was ready to blow up or whatever or something. I'm not sure exactly, but the only planet that did no, it could have been the sun because the only planet that was destroyed was Krypton. So it's something to do with Krypton. What they did get out
Okay.
that Krypton.
So, Krypton was ultimately destroyed when the red sun began to collapse.
Again, well, they changed it to Krypton TV show, which actually kind of like that better. And they didn't really say that. See, that's not right because nothing else was destroyed around it. And Kandor wasn't destroyed, and Kandor was and in Supergirl, there was another planet that was close by, Daxonite, or Daxon was nearby. So different versions we have different versions of it. But in every version, Krypton blows up. So.
Crypto goes Pudow!
According to online, it's because the core is running out of energy.
Yeah, again, it really depends on the version you watch. I mean, the Christopher Reeve version says something close to that. The Smallville version is close to that. The Supergirl version is close to that. Yeah, it depends on the version, but they're all pretty similar. Yeah, it changes a little bit. But bottom line is usually it's always Laura and Jor-El sending Kal-El to Earth, where most of the time it's Kal-El that chooses Earth. And the reason he chooses Earth is because basically what he says to Laura when she says they're gonna kill him, and he goes, no, he'll be a god to them, because of Kal-El's son. He will, have all these powers and blah blah blah. You know, so he knew, because he was a brilliant scientist. He knew where he was sending his son, and his son wouldn't just be someone there. He would be someone that would save people. And in Smallville, he actually sent him there to rule. Jor-El wasn't the nice, decent man, alien from another planet. In Smallville, he wasn't a villain, but he wasn't a good guy either. He sent Kal there to rule.
Wait, who wasn't a good guy in Smallville?
Jor-El.
Oh.
He sent him there to save him, but he also sent him to Earth to rule it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was really good. You should watch it. And Dave needs to.
I'm actually, back in the day, I was watching Smallville for a while. I think I didn't watch the whole show, but there were some parts of it that I did watch.
Watch. You have Hulu?
Sorry, what?
You have Hulu.
No, I don't. I'm not sure if that's even available in Croatia.
Well, look it up. I'm sure you can find Smallville. I know it's on Hulu. But
You could
yeah,
probably find
you need to
small,
watch it, dude.
probably
It's
on
fucking awesome.
other.
I was like, I saw bits and pieces of it, and then I sat down and watched the whole thing from beginning to end and all the seasons. This is a really awesome show, man. They do some really great things. I mean, there's a few things that I have a complaint about. I love the show, and I really wish they had continued it. I always thought of that they were going to continue it, but change the name Metropolis, and like his new event Superman or something or whatever. Uh, but they never did. Now we get
Uh,
Lois, which is a damn good show. But
Hey, sorry for interrupting, but I need to ask, Dave, are you, is Crow's audio coming out glitchy on your end too, or only I having glitches?
I think only you are.
Huh, that's strange.
you
I
love it.
Well, yeah, I am having issues with my connection, but I thought I had fixed something, but looks like I didn't. I'm really struggling to distinguish what you're saying.
Unfortunately,
The
the internet does that a lot, but sorry, dude. I don't know what we can do about it. But anyways, all right. So let's get what anyone's opinion on this. Let me finish one more thing before we get the opinion. Um, we end up Jor-El takes the codex. He escapes from Zod's forces again. Zod tracks him down to where he lives. They get into a fight. Laura is about to push the button to send their son away. Zod tries to talk her out of it. You don't do this. This is our future. You can't send him away. The Codex needs to stay there. And Laura looks at her husband and pushes the button, sending her infant child away to Earth with the Codex. And Zod screams no, like Darth Vader in the Sith, or Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back, and then he, like a sore loser, turns around and stabs Jor-El through his armor, and that was really badass looking armor too. Stabs him through his battle armor and therefore killing him. We have a scene where he's just kind of staring at him with open eyes, and then he falls over dead. And Laura L goes over to him and defiant refuses to tell God where her son's going to be. She says, "Beyond reality." So, what do we think of Krypton and these beginning scenes and of Jor-El and Laura and the birth and everything? What do you think, Boris?
well, based on what I remember, since it's been 10
You
years
want Dave
since
to go
I.
first?
Uh, Sorry, what?
You want Dave to go first? Kind of get a handle on what you on your
Uh,
thoughts.
okay, maybe, yeah.
Go ahead first, Dave, and then we'll have Boris go next.
Oh, okay. Well, I enjoy this very beginning. I think Russell Crowe plays Jor El I think better than Marlon Brando does.
Oh yeah, I remember Marlon Brando was great for that version, but I agree.
Um, I love the suits that uh, uh, the Kryptonians are wearing. I mean, they show how the suit gets put onto Jor-El, and I think that's fucking amazing.
Oh, the battle armor.
Yeah, the pieces going in electronically. Yeah, the how it was
Yeah,
put
it
together.
kind of reminds you of Iron Man.
Who?
Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
as if you're looking at something put out by Stark, you know. But I just
That's where Stark got it from.
there's so much going on in this beginning scene. I mean, you got a lot of technology dealing with the Kryptonian people. You got the ships. You've got the world around them somewhat collapsing. You've got the political background going on with Jor-El and Zod. You know, I mean, it's and Zod. I like who's playing Zod here.
Who plays Zod?
I also liked Terrence Stamp playing him in the
Oh yeah,
in the
definitely.
original, but I do think that this guy actually cuts a very good jib playing him. You know? But I guess I do like the whole sending the like. I don't remember there being more than three Kryptonians in the first one.
Michael Shannon. No, in the first one. Well, no, first one there was Laura and Jor-El, and then in the council there were three heads. And then,
Yeah.
of course, we had Zod, Ursula, and Non in the rings.
Correct. And so when they sent them off to that Phantom realm or whatever, um, uh, when I saw more than three people going there, I was like, oh, okay. So I guess there were more in his command that decided to go with him or whatnot. But
Yeah, he basically had
I
an
thought the
army.
technology of icing them up and then having a shell go over them, that was kind of cool.
It was.
And then sending them up in in that ship. And you said something about this. Why would you send them in a ship that could probably destroy a planet?
Well, the thing is, I was wrong. I guess they found the world, the world engine on one of the other small bases that they had around Krypton. They try to, they went down. He says to Kal-El that he went there, but that he only found dead people, but they salvaged what they could. And
And
he
I
says,
bet
the
you when
world
they
engine.
were exiling them,
So I guess they sent them in. They sent them in a ship that was supposed to have been kind of dead into the Phantom Zone. So they thought they were safe, but I guess when
and they didn't expect when the planet exploded.
they didn't expect the planet to blow up because they didn't believe Jor-El. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I do like how once God actually comes to Earth, he basically does explain it. You know.
Yeah, I do like how in both versions, Zod does believe Jor-El that the planet is going to be destroyed. Well, okay, he knows that that they're wrong and the council are idiots, but I don't think he truly believes that the planet is going to be destroyed. Destroyed. He just thinks that the council is ruining it. You know. So yeah.
And in a sense, you could almost say that there is an almost German Reichness about Zod and his beliefs because of the fact that he wants that pure bloodness, you know.
I mean
yeah.
the whole society, you know, they no longer have freedom of choice. Like everyone is born, and their job is whatever their job is assigned before they were even born. Which is why another reason why they want why they had a natural birth, and why, because both him and Laura believe that there should be some kind of choice, and what if he wanted to be greater than he was what he was assigned, or something different than what he was assigned to, so their whole system was kind of whacked. But yes, God was definitely even took it a further degree by wanting to play God and wipe out certain bloodlines, kind of like Hitler. So you're right there.
And Carl, I'm glad that you brought this up earlier about the fact that what is it about these future worlds where there is no sex involved? It's like no physical contact.
Well, like I did say here, but in this, they actually don't say they don't have sex, so they could have just developed a way to stop uh, women from being able to give birth, conceive or anything. Like an ultimate, um, birth control, but they can stop it with the technology. So they didn't delve into that part of the storyline, because then we'd probably have a different story. it would probably be a porno version of Superman or something.
I was
But
someone commenting earlier on that those moments where you actually saw all the kids and all those embryos and those bubbles.
yeah,
What kind of reminded me of the harvesting fields in the Matrix.
yeah, yeah.
And then of course the guy in charge of the Metropolitan newspaper, he played Morpheus.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh my God, no, no, now I can't think of his fucking name. God damn it.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Thank you. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, a lot of people were upset he was not in the last Matrix movie, but yeah.
But oh yeah, I enjoy that scene and anything that has to do with the things that happen with the Bretonians. And I guess we'll get into it a little bit later, but the fact when God got his shield mask broken the first time, and he couldn't control all his senses and stuff like that. So I'm sure we'll get into that eventually. But I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll get into that much later. All right, and are you done with your thoughts on that?
Boris, your thoughts on the original?
Based on what I can remember, since, like I said, it's been 10 years since I watched it, yeah, I thought it was quite.
Hello?
Hello?
Boris?
Oh,
Dave?
I think we lost him.
I think so too. 10 years. How many times have you seen this movie?
I've at least seen this like 3 or 4 times.
This is my third, and I was thinking, wow, I can't do it only because this is only my third.
Wait, are you saying that you cannot hear me?
We can now.
We can now.
Yeah, you cut out right in the middle of
or lagged or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
you said you hadn't watched it in 10 years, and you kind of
blipped.
Yeah, my connection is being really horrible.
Well, I know, just letting you know, nobody heard anything you said after.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing I remember, although I'm not sure if I had this issue in this movie or in the original or both, but if on a planet like that, if they had spaceships and stuff, why did Jor-El and Lara decide to stay on Krypton? Why didn't they also go away and save themselves?
I agree, and I had the same thought.
I think at that point in time, Zod was a general in charge of like the Kryptonian army. So at that time, he was like in charge with like all of these like other foot soldiers, and he was preventing them from leaving. You know,
Oh, mm, okay, maybe that makes sense.
I mean, it wasn't until he actually killed Jor-El that he was in jeopardy of being sent away. You know, because once he killed Jor-El, then that was like a big no-no, and the council decided to send him and his the people who followed off to Krypton too.
You're a little bit off there. Zod, Zod was the leader of the military. Yeah.
Although I
People didn't believe the planet was going to be destroyed. But yes, I do wonder why Jor-El didn't build a ship big enough for him and his wife and child. I've always said that ever since the first one. So I do agree with you. Even if no one else believed it, he could at least save his family. Um, and then, of course,
Yeah,
we do have his brother decides that he's going to make sure Kal-El is okay by sending his 11-year-old daughter to Earth to watch over her cousin. Of course, that's Supergirl. She's actually 11 years older, but looks younger because she got off course and spent much longer time out in space before she got to Earth. So she and Superman ends up being much older than her by the time she gets there.
I do. I guess one thing I enjoy from this of this movie, and I don't think we got it in any other movie of Superman, is the fact that Jor El actually like stuck
Fight.
all these millions of Kryptonian DNA in Superman's blood.
Oh yeah, no, definitely is neat too. He was super brilliant, but he wasn't just brilliant. He was a good fighter. He was basically the way Superman was going to grow up to be like, but without special powers. You know? What pisses me off is people always act like Superman is the man, just a man of steel, and oh, he's super fast and he's super strong, but nobody ever thinks about he's super smart. Like he's just as fucking smart. You know, he's a super brain as well as all the other stuff. You
Well,
know,
yeah, he could probably he
that
could
whole
also
argument of
really
Ray
fast.
or LeBron where Batman's gonna beat Superman is bullshit. Cause Superman's smart too. He don't think thinkly like Batman does, but he's super smart. He's a fucking genius. He remembers everything he's ever heard.
And he's got a photographic mind.
That's what I just said. He remembers everything he ever heard. That's a photographic. Or endemic mind is what Sheldon calls it when he corrects people.
He's definitely a very aware person, and I don't know how I would deal with with the fact of being able to hear everything in the world.
Oh, I wouldn't want to hear it. Would drive me fucking crazy.
I mean, everybody's minds, all the noise and traffic and whatnot. That was the first thing.
And everybody talking at one, and like someone whispering in 3 countries away, and you can hear it. That's just crazy.
Definitely.
And that's something that Superman learned while he was working on a farm. I mean, I mean, Zod says something to try to make Superman think that being on a farm was a bad thing, you know. But honestly, I think it kind of tempered him. You know, it kind of calmed Superman.
It was his father and his mother and their love for him helped where he was, but his genetics were from good stock too because his natural parents are good. Now in Brightburn, those parents were good people too, and they were nice people, and unfortunately, we don't know where his parents were from. Maybe they were evil. Maybe it was in his genes, or what? Why he ended up turning completely evil, and that could have been Kal-El, but it wasn't. And a lot of people say it's because of the Kents, but I say maybe it wasn't just the Kents. Maybe in his DNA and his genes as well, he also had two incredibly awesome people as birth parents as well as being raised by two awesome parents. So it goes back to the argument of what has more effect on children, your environment or your DNA. I used to think it was the environment, but I tell you what, my daughter, who I didn't see for a long time, I won't go into the story now, but I finally found her and reconnected, and she has my personality and my humor completely. And she didn't grow up with me, unfortunately. I wish she had, but um, yeah. So I was shocked. I was like, wow. I always thought it was more environment um, than DNA, and not always the case. So I definitely think now that even if he was raised by Lex Luthor or his father, he may have not have turned bad like they say they did in Smallville and the comics and stuff. Like there's that version, or if he grew up in Russia or whatever. I think maybe at his core, he'd still be a good person. So I don't know, but that's a different debate. Forrest, you got more to say on this?
uh, I don't think so. Maybe I would have had more to say if I had been able to rewatch the movie, but yeah,
Hey, listen,
unfortunately,
stop complaining. You decided not to watch the movie. We know why, but it's still your choice.
mm, okay, you can say so.
I will say so because it's the truth. Can't complain when it's your own fault.
He just wanted to be a good host.
I get it.
Mm.
I get it. But he needs to be a good host on the show too. But I've forgotten to watch movies before, so yeah, it happens, right? Okay. So, anyways, my thoughts is okay. I loved Krypton. I loved the way they did this, and I loved how we kind of saw more of the background of Krypton, and we actually saw the birth of Superman. I'm like, holy shit, we got to the birth of Superman. I remember thinking how awesome that was when I saw this when I first saw it. I don't think I saw this in the theaters, and I don't know why I didn't. I know I wasn't busy working because it was after I had the stroke. I don't know why I didn't go with my mother to go see this. I know I went with my mother to go see Marvel movies, but she fucking loves Superman more than anybody, and I love Superman, so I don't know why we didn't go to the theater and see it. And I can't ask her, unfortunately, so I don't know. I don't know why we didn't. But anyways, I absolutely loved that, and it was so like wow, we saw the birth of Superman, and that was amazing. Now, my complaint, I think the ship, I like the way the ship looked in the original Chris Reeve version better. I don't know, the whole like big giant crystal star like thing. It looked like a giant star it eventually broke off and looked more like a ship inside. But I don't know, it just looked really freaking awesome in that version. And think about it, this was made that was made um, it came out in 1978, right? So this
Yeah.
was made in the middle of the 70s, right? And the technology, of course, was nothing like they had in 2013. And they did pretty fucking awesome with everything they did in that movie. And I'm not talking about that movie, but I just want to bring it up because it was incredible what they had at that time. And the scene where they're being arrested, Zod, Ursula, and Nana being arrested, and with the rings, moving around them, I always thought was so awesome, so awesome. It was kind of like Hulu type divine, but it was obviously keeping them from being able to get out or whatever, and like a force field, and there was actually Jor-El in that one who sentenced them to the Phantom Zone, and he put the charges up against Zod, and the council agreed with Jor-El on that. And that's when we see the big faces going guilty, 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 and they all say guilty, and then we see the giant like mirror like thing coming down and like they're sucking them into the Phantom Zone, and you see their faces pressed up against the mirror, and then flying away. Which again, awesome, 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 awesome special effects, awesome. Just want to point that out. I don't know why they decided to change that. I mean, they could have found a ship in the Phantom Zone or anything. Like they could have done other things to not really change the story, but not change that part either because I think it was so awesome. But they did, and like I said, I like this movie better, but not every part of this movie better. That original I liked better as far as that goes. And Marlon Brando was definitely a great Jor-El, but Russell Crowe was he just knocked it out of the park with this version of Kal-El. So yeah, and again, I don't know, can't remember who played the original role either. Um, yeah, so anyways, we had a younger, not too young Marlon Brando, but I don't know when he did. I think this was actually right after he did Godfather or something like that. But he had lost weight to do this or whatever. He looked much better than when he did Godfather, from what I can remember of the bits and pieces I saw that movie. I've never really seen it all. I've never really been interested to see it all. It's not my thing. So I know some people think it's a classic, but not my fucking thing. When you say Marlon Brando, I think of Jor-El. That's all I think of is Jor-El. Some people may think of The Godfather or Part 2 or Part 3 or whatever, the whole series, but I think of Jor-El. So
Fair
anyway,
enough.
that's my 2 cents on that. So back to the movie. Now we have a grown-up Kal-El, or Clark Kent, as we later find out is his Earth name. He's working on a ship, on a boat, out in he's being told to do stuff, and they call him a greenhorn, which if anyone don't know what that means, it's basically like a new person, an immigrant to their particular area. Probably on the ship, that anyone who's new to the ship is called a greenhorn. It can be named, it can be like a derogatory mark, or not necessarily that bad. But anyways, he's just because he's new on the ship, they call him a greenhorn. And then he's supposed to get binoculars for the captain to see something. But at that point, we see fires, and we see him up on the side with a shirt on, trying to hold something together, stopping it from falling apart. He cannot, and then of course he goes down. We see these people saying, we don't know how much oxygen we're gonna have." They're like trapped in this room inside there, and you see all of a sudden this door being busted, pried open, after he saw it like being heated up. Obviously, Superman uses ray vision to um, burn into the door, and then uses muscles and strength to break it open. I still think this version of Superman was a little weaker than other versions of Superman could be or have been. Not, I think, stronger than Christopher Reeve's version, but weaker than the version he should have been, like comic book version. But anyways, so he saves them, and then some brave people from the Coast Guard fly down and land on the ship as it's burning down around everybody, and to save the people. And of course, Clark's still there, and they yell like, what are you doing? Get on the ship!" And he immediately runs over and just catches the part of the ship that's gonna fall into the helicopter. And they like take off. They realize, one, there's nothing more they can do to help Clark, and two, they kind of figure he might have it himself because of the feat he just did. And of course, at this point, he doesn't know he can fly or anything, so it kind of blows up with him on it, and then we see him in the water, and he's kind of like looks like he's floating in the water like he's dead, and we get these flashbacks of him being a kid, and he's in a classroom, and the teacher goes to him and says, "Clark, blah blah blah." And she starts talking to him, and he's just sitting there, like not really listening. Like we hear her like in the background, and all of a sudden he starts looking at her, and he's seeing through her clothes, through her skin, through to her bones, and seeing her bones and her heart. And he starts looking around, and he's seeing all the other kids and seeing their bones and their hearts and everything. And all of a sudden he starts hearing their them talking and their thoughts and everything. He starts hearing everybody around him, and he gets up, he just runs off, holding his hands over his ears. And the teacher yells, "Clark, Clark, Clark, what are you doing?" And he runs off and goes to a closet and goes inside. And I guess there's a lock on the closet. He locks himself in. And the teacher's trying to get him. And he's like, "Come on, we called your mother." And then his mother comes. And he's like, "The world is too big, Mom." And she's like, "I know." And it talks him down. I didn't hear. She talked kind of soft, because in the scene, she was trying to talk to him, but I couldn't hear what she said, unfortunately. So I don't know exactly what she said, but she got through him. She kind of knew how to deal with him. She got, and he came out of the closet, and things were okay. And then we go back to the present, and he gets out of the water, and then wasn't it that was where we got Lois Lane, and she's in
Yeah,
this government
she's
tent
a student
talking
on
to
the
some
bus,
people.
isn't she?
What?
She's a student on the bus, isn't she?
No, that's later. That's
Okay.
Lana Lang, and that's later on. You're confusing Lois Lane and Lana Lang.
Okay.
No, she's this is now, and she's a. Hey, Boris.
Yes.
I don't know why, but you're breathing really heavy into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
It's okay. I was
It's
gonna do something
probably
earlier, and I didn't. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I don't mean to be a certain other person that complains about sound, but yeah.
it's probably because I'm on my phone, which has probably a better microphone than my laptop, and I generally breathe through my mouth, and that's louder than most people breathe. But normally you maybe don't hear it because like I said, use my laptop, which doesn't have such a good microphone. But now I'm having technical issues, so when I tried to join the discussion from my laptop, it didn't work very well, as you
I always
saw.
use it doesn't work very well either. I over my desktop, so I always use my phone.
And honestly, I think using phones are better sometimes.
Yeah. Well, this phone has that background noise that some people mention, but I don't know. Unfortunately. But as I was saying, so Yeah, we get Lois. Well, all right, let's go. And what are you guys' thoughts on the whole scene there um with what happened? Him saving the people and everything on the ship and that whole scene. What do you guys think of that, Dave? What do you think of
Oh,
that scene?
yeah, well, there's always a a vehicle scene, oftentimes in
No,
the.
no, 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 Dave. Wrong scene. Wrong scene. The ship. The ship. The boat. Saving the people in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, yeah. No, that wasn't. But wasn't there an oil thing involved too?
It might have been. It looked like there might have been an oil thing, oil tanker,
'Cause,
there.
he
But
walks through fire, didn't he?
yes, he does. To save those people that were running lower on oxygen.
Yeah. So he comes out looking like Grizzly Adams. Just a
Yeah,
little.
I mean he had a beard. Which first time I saw that, I was like, "What the?" I didn't know if I even liked Henry Cavill because of the beard. I was like, "He's not Superman." It was weird. It was just really weird. I had some issues when I first saw the movie. I got over it, but yeah, that scene with the fire, kind of just like going out on his skin was just really fucking badass. But that beard just kind of ruined it for that scene for me. Unfortunately, I just couldn't get over him having a beard. But yeah, it was an awesome scene once
Yeah, I'm pretty
you
sure
take
it
that
was
beard part out of
an
your head.
oil drilling station that he saved those people from, and there was a ship involved, but
Well, yeah, they were on. I mean, a oil tanker is still a ship, right? I mean, they never said what kind of ship it was, and well, obviously wasn't a navy ship because they were definitely they weren't naval people, so it probably
no,
was
but
it probably was an oil tanker.
but they definitely had a rescue team go out to this place, and I guess he helped them get rescued and stuff like that. So that's the first thing we see of him as an
Yeah,
adult.
what do you think about it?
Um, I thought it was kind of cool. The whole coming out of the fire and stuff like that, you know, and the fact that the people that he was saving didn't really seem to pay attention to that fact, you know.
They were too busy, probably glad that that they were saved and worry about how he did it later.
Mm.
Worry about being completely saved and
I'm
then
trying
go,
to
what the
think.
fuck did I just see?
I'm trying to think and remember how Lana got involved.
I will tell you. I'll let us know when we get to that point.
Okay.
Okay, don't worry. We're not. It's not far away. Boris, what do you think of that scene?
You made an interesting point earlier that in other Superman movies we see all those scenes of him already being Superman, saving people and all that, which we don't really have here, which would have slipped my mind if you hadn't pointed it out. But yeah, at least we see him saving people here, and yeah, it was an interesting scene from what I remember, and yeah, how no one paid attention to how strange it was what he was able to do. And yeah, I kind of forgot that he had a beard in that scene, but it's
I didn't.
it kind of reminds me of in earlier movies he always had that weird curl of hair on his forehead, which
The S.
they
You mean the S on his head? On his head? I mean that
oh
that was.
I actually never realized it was supposed to resemble S.
It's called an S curl. Yes, that's what it is
Oh,
because he's Superman, and that's what they did with Chris Reeve.
Yeah,
They gave him the
at
S
least
curl.
he wasn't white alfalfa, you know.
I actually never realized it was supposed to mean that, or actually, I never knew why he had it in
Yeah,
the first place.
it's an S curl.
So I I actually kind of thought he looked better without it, just like as most people say. Although
Bite
I
your
never.
tongue. Bite your tongue. That was another thing that I noticed. Where the hell is this curl?
And did you? What did you think about him no longer having underpants over his pants?
I thought it looked good, but weird.
Oh, yeah, I know many people. Although I never really disliked the
I
old.
always liked the I put in quotation
There
marks
is nothing wrong
underpants
with a Superman.
over his pants. I always liked that look, and it just it to me just they look like shorts, and that's where I just never really thought about it as being underpants or whatever. I mean,
Uh,
I liked the original look of Superman. I always have, and I always will. That doesn't mean I don't like this newer version either. I do. It was just I had to get used to the newer look, but I liked it. I just was like, I know that's the first thought when I first saw it. Before I even saw the movie, I saw what it looked like. I'm like, whoa, he's not, he doesn't have the pants out, and a lot of other people were like, oh, no underpants on the new Superman, blah, blah, blah. I made a big deal out of it, and yeah, he's wearing, the color is kind of except yellow. He doesn't wear any yellow in this new suit, um, and it's kind of weird. They got the red and blue, but they just left out the yellow. They did that. Um, yeah, Smallville, like he never really had his suit until the last episode, so can't really say they did it because he didn't even have his suit then. So, uh,
yeah.
um, but yeah. So my thoughts on the scene. Are we done, Boris?
Uh, I I was just going to say, yeah, this new outfit is different. Although I didn't dislike the old one. I didn't think it was as ridiculous as some other people say. But
It was just different.
yeah, but generally, I kind of think the new one looks better and more serious.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that's all I was going to say.
But the S curl needs to come back. All I gotta say.
Okay, well, like I said, I never even realized it had some specific
Well,
meaning. I was always
now you
wondering
know.
what the point of it was.
And Dave, what does knowing mean? What
What
is
does
knowing?
knowing?
Yeah.
Knowing it means to.
No,
Uh,
no, 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 no. Knowing is half the battle. Yeah, Joe. So,
E-
anyways, all right. So my thoughts. I love the scene. Again, the fire coming off him. I didn't notice at first. I mean, I saw the fire because I love fire, but my eyes immediately went to his beard, and I couldn't not look at his beard. Like that's all I could see at first, and that's the only thing I could think about. Not how awesome the scene was just the fact that Superman had a fucking beard. Like it blew my mind. Like, how does Superman have a beard? I mean, then of course it brings you to think, well, wait, how does Superman shave, and how does he cut his hair and stuff? Which they addressed in Big Bang Theory, but and no one's really said. I don't think it's been addressed in the comics or anything. How does he do that? But still, even though that's not been addressed, seeing Superman with long hair when he came back from a coma was weird, kinda, but understandable. He was in a coma for a while, but the beard, he still didn't have the beard. Like I've never seen Superman with a beard. It was just so weird that I was like, I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't wrap my head around him having a beard. And that just kind of ruined that scene for me until I watched the movie again. But that it was just that beard just was like it was just staring at me in my face, going, "I'm a beard on Superman, and I don't belong." That's what it was in my head. That's what I was doing. I mean, other people. I don't know any other people that had that issue. I know our friend Mo probably was like, "I saw the beard, but I absolutely loved it. I don't like Superman, but the beard was awesome because he loves beards, and you don't like Superman, so he's a fucking weirdo." But
Well, probably since at that point he's not wearing the Superman outfit anyway.
I
That's
know he's not. I know he's like he's more like Clark Kent, but without glasses or trench coat and shit. But still, he's got a beard. It's just fucking weird, man. It blew my fucking mind, literally blew my mind. I could not fathom Superman with a beard. That's just how. Again, I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Maybe there's people out there that feel that way. I just know for me, it was I couldn't fathom it. I had to process it.
It took me a moment to get used to that when he first
It
appeared.
took me longer than a moment to get used to it. I mean, as a matter of fact, at first I was like, I don't think I like Henry Cavill as Superman. Like after I saw the movie, just because he was in a beard. Like seriously, that beard did that much to me. At first, I didn't even know if I liked the movie, but I just didn't know how much I liked the portrayal Henry Cavill did just because of the beard. I know it's a stupid reason, but that's how I felt. That was what my brain thought at the time. Later I changed it, but yeah, at the time I didn't feel that Henry Cavill was that great because he had that beard, and that probably wasn't even his decision. That was a directorial decision or whatever, and whatever. But Zach, I don't know what the fuck you did to me, but you fucked me up for a long time with that beard.
Isn't that a bit
Anyways,
of an overreaction?
yeah, I just had to. I mean, I bet there was a big discussion in like a little writer's room or whatever when they decided to put a bid on him. I bet there was a big discussion. I guarantee you there was a big discussion because he's never had a beard ever, and it's kind of a big deal. It's something very. It's not like he had a small beard or just like a little facial hair. He had a big fucking Grizzly Adams beard growing. So yeah, I just had to point that out. As much as the scene was fucking awesome, and I love fire, and how it just kind of just windowed off of him, like it was like he was made of water. It was just badass. I mean, the scene was really fucking awesome, and the whole save and the helicopter guy trying to tell him to get in to save him too, because he didn't know who he was. Just some guy standing there. No socks, shoes, no shirt, just fucking standing there, fucking, and then all he runs over and just, Now another thing I thought was kind of weird was he catches the thing, but you see him kind of like going, straining to hold it up. Now, any other I've seen Hercules do that, and other people do that, and okay, they do that because Hercules has the strength of 10 men or whatever. But Superman way stronger than that. So it's like, I guess he just doesn't know how strong he is yet. I mean, but I don't know. At the time, I was kind of like, why is he grunting like that? That's like nothing. Like he should be able to hold that with his pinky and do other things with his other hand.
Actually, yeah.
So I definitely felt out of pace, but I don't know. I don't like to be critical. I mean, like I said, I still enjoyed the movie, but it's just things that I've noticed. And Superman, I'm a huge fan, so I guess when you're a huge fan, you can be sometimes you might be a little more critical. I did super enjoy it though, no pun intended, super. But I definitely have some criticisms on the movie, and some things that I remember I did changed on, and others I have not. But yeah. So then we have moving along. We have I forgot to. I don't know how I forgot this, but Lois is at with the army, and I guess they're checking out. They found something from an alien ship, and they're like, holy shit, the government's there, and of course Lois is a reporter from the Daily Planet, and somehow she got clearance to be there because Lois Lane gets clearance to be everywhere, or if she doesn't, she still gets in everywhere she's not supposed to, because that's Lois Lane. But obviously
Yeah.
the colonel or general or whoever the fuck's in charge, I don't even know his name. He turns out to be not such a bad guy after all. But he's kind of an ass to her, and he's like, "This is your room," and she looks and she's like, "What if I have to tinkle?" He's like, "There's a bucket in the corner," and walks out. Kind of like she's a woman, and telling her to go piss or shit in a bucket is like pretty harsh. But obviously he resents the fact that she's there, and if it was up to him, she wouldn't be anywhere near there. He's a military person; he doesn't want a reporter around, but she has connections. That you never actually see what connections Lois has, but Lois always has connections. No matter what iteration of it, Lois has connections. So then you see Henry Cavill actually going to that same ship where there's military around now. I think they're just kind of protecting it, and even surprisingly, there's no scientists inside, which I'm very surprised about. Very surprised about. They're just kind of in front of like watchdogging it, and Lois, being Lois, finds a way inside, and she finds him and the security as it had attacked Cal, and until it realized that he was Cal El and part of the L family, and stopped attacking him, but then when Lois shows up, the security attacks her, and he stops it. But meanwhile, she gets punctured, right under her ribs, and probably would have bled out and died at that right there if he wasn't there and saved her. So right away, he always saves her when he meets, but this time she's not dangling from a helicopter like she did in the Christopher Reeve version. This time she gets cut, and then he has to use his heat. He holds her, and he has to use his heat vision to cauterize the wound so she doesn't bleed out. Of course, there's no any kind of anesthetic or anything. Superman is very powerful, but unfortunately, I guess he could have tapped her and knocked her out, but he didn't, and so he burns her, and she's screaming, but he just does enough to cauterize. But I'm still sure that it was fucking painful. Um,
Mm.
she never complained later. They never had that scene. She just kind of went along because she's a trooper. I'm sure it's not the first time she got hurt. Probably the fastest she ever got healed. Um, but yeah, she could have died there and bled out if Superman had not been there. I mean, if Superman had not been there, I mean, the machine probably would have killed her. And obviously, if scientists had tried to go in, they would have died too. I'm just surprised they hadn't tried. But we would have probably been more like a horror movie if we had a movie like that. What happens when scientists try to get into scientists and the U.S. government tried to get into a Kryptonian ship that has defenses? Those same defenses are supposed to keep intruders out of the Fortress of Solitude in most of the comics. So it's pretty cool that they added that in there. I like it. Yeah, and then after that scene, Lois is now obsessed because he just kind of takes off after saving her, and she's like, "Who the hell?" I mean, anybody being saved would be like, "Who the hell was that?" and might be obsessed knowing. But she's a reporter, a famous reporter that the little stories she'll run after. But big stories she just finds. She finds big stories. They fall into her lap. And here's the story of the century. Are we alone? Oh my God, we're not. And here's the answer. And she wants to tell the story. Of course she wants to tell the story. Because like most reporters, they think that the truth should always be told no matter what. Citizens have a right to know. Now, I agree to a point, but I think um there's reasons that some truths should not be told, you know. And just like Clark ends up basically telling her, I don't want my story told, and this is why. And she ends up dropping it. And because she realizes he's such a hero. And he didn't say to her that even though it probably kills her not to want to tell the story, she's going to respect him. And then, before that, she was told to stop the story. And of course, Lois doesn't do anything she's told. And she went on with it and she investigated. And then, of course, she couldn't bring it back because she was told not to. So she brings it to a sleazy internet guy who she can't stand, but knows at least the story will get out with him. So she tells him the story, and he's like, you called me this. Why would I? Why? She's like, it has to be told. The story has to be told. So I want the story to be told. I mean, she didn't let on who he really was or anything else. Just that there was somebody out there um, from another planet, and that they were helping people. He was not an enemy. He wasn't a bad alien, as people would think that might come here if aliens came. He's actually helping people, and helped her as well. So that was pretty cool. And of course, she gets back to Metropolis, and the guy's gloating that she's in trouble because Lois is also kind of the like the reporters. She's Perry's go-to girl, but that's because she's the best there is. So I guess some people are jealous of her. So he's kind of gloating that she's gonna be yelled at. At this point, right? She doesn't really care. She doesn't even care. He comes in, it's like okay. He's like, "You've been here for 2 weeks, okay," and that's for disobeying. It's like okay. And of course, Perry's expecting her to argue, and he's like madder that she's not, and says, "Okay, 3 weeks, you're agreeing so easy." And of course, he knows Lois that she wouldn't just drop it because she's like, "Oh, it isn't just your leaves didn't just dry up. You're dropping it for some reason." But whatever your reason is, I agree with you. I think you should drop it. Again, you imagine what the world would feel like if they realized there's an alien. He doesn't think the news should get out. And he's a news, that's his business and his job. But again, I don't think that news is well, I mean, we do know that aliens exist now in real life, and there hasn't been any kind of craziness from it. Maybe because it happened in the middle of COVID, I don't know, but who knows? So kind of weird. But then we don't actually know of any aliens yet, so who knows how we're gonna react when we do. But anyways, yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts on the scenes, Dave?
So, well, I certainly enjoy most of those scenes. Um, I enjoy seeing,
Lois being
yes,
saved by Clark.
at least for all of 5 minutes, because I know often it's Lois who is at the Metropolis with him later on, but it's not. It's actually Lana, isn't it?
It's Lois. Why are you
Okay,
confusing
so it is Lois.
Lois and Lana?
So I do like that we get Superman actually getting an earlier scene. The scene often reminds me of the movie Simon Birch. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't know. I don't know the movie, but I really think you're probably talking about a different scene than what I just talked about.
Yeah, there's a little short boy who ends up saving a whole bunch of people on a bus.
You are definitely talking about the wrong scene. Dave, you are obsessed with that scene.
What?
That's the fourth time you've mentioned that scene. You talked about it twice when we were watching the movie and twice on the show. Like, we're not talking about that scene yet.
Oh,
the scene where he saves Lois after she finds him on the ship and she gets cut by the by the security, and he has to cauterize her wound with his heat vision.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That scene?
And the scene where she gets yelled at by Perry.
Okay, yeah. Because she actually wrote about it and put it to the front
No,
of
she didn't write about. She didn't write about. She dropped it, but she followed the story, and she was told to drop it, but she
Yeah.
followed it anyways, which is a lot of fun.
I don't know. I enjoy it. I mean, I like the fact that that we, uh, in fact, it is kind of different that you actually have Lois involved with knowing uh, Superman before he was Clark Kent.
I agree. Well, he was Clark Kent, but she didn't know that. Well, actually, she did meet his mother, so I guess she kind of knew that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because she followed up. And
but I know what you mean. She knows
yeah.
the truth. I liked. I kind of like that too. It was definitely a big change. I was like, whoa, but I kind of liked it.
But yeah, I enjoy those scenes. It gives you a bit of a history between Lois and him instead of a bumbling idiot fool who has to work at falling in love with her. You know?
Oh, he falls in love with her when he first meets her. He has to work getting her to fall in love with him. Which he eventually does. But, of course, poor Lois, she's in love with two men. She just doesn't know the two men are the same person.
Yeah, it's definitely an innovation that they had her meet Superman in a way without Clark Kent already being a part of her life as this clumsy guy she works with and has no idea they're the same person. They did the whole thing kind of differently here, and it was interesting from what I can remember.
Well, they kind of did. They did the same thing, well, I mean, okay, so they did it kind of in Smallville. So Lois meets him as Clark Kent. She doesn't know about his powers at first, and then she finds out. But when by the time they get to Metropolis, she already knows, and by the time he dons a suit and works the Daily Planet, she already knows the secret. So she knows the secret for way longer in Smallville. So then,
Oh yeah,
but
in Smallville she doesn't even appear until much later on the show, right?
for what's the fifth season? Yeah, Lana was the well. Lana, in the comics, Lana was his first love. So I'm glad that he started with Lana on Smallville, and I really like how they showed how why Clark and Lana couldn't be together anymore. Then you never get that. Like why didn't they why weren't they still together? I mean, like in the show, Clark was always madly in love with Lana. I think even after he couldn't be with her, and even maybe after, and definitely after he met Lois, and even after I don't know after they got together, he maybe finally forgot about Lana, or the feelings anyways. But he was still madly in love for a long time with Lana, and I love how they made it so Lex Luthor infused her with kryptonite. So for the ultimate revenge against both of them, because he had married Lana in the show, and I'm sorry, I was spoiling it for you guys, but it was ultimate revenge on both of them. On Clark because Clark never trusted him to tell him his secret, and Lana for leaving him and going basically being with Clark. So yeah, it was. I thought it was pretty fucking interesting how they did that. Really fucking interesting. But yeah, when he met Lois, they didn't get along, and they end up finally becoming friends. And she was staying at the Kents for a long time, even though they weren't even really friends yet. It was kind of weird. But yeah, I loved Erica Durance as Lois, and they pulled that shit off great. But yeah, definitely a weird short version of the two, but definitely enjoyable. But anyways, my thoughts. I love the scene. I love how they met. I love how he saved her like always, but it was different and cauterizing the wound. And I was kind of thinking, why didn't he just tap her head and knock her out? So she didn't feel that pain, and then kissed her or something, woke her up again. Because we all know Superman has a powerful kiss. And made her
Maybe he
completely
was
forget who he
afraid
was, and
of.
Superman too. But yeah, so yeah, I really enjoyed that, and then the whole scene where she just kind of like she don't care that Perry's yelling at her, and she's just glad she knows the secret, and she's happy to actually keep a secret for once. Very un Lois Lane like, but like Lois Lane too, because she always did keep his secret when she found out. So even though she's a humongous reporter, she knew this secret was something she had to keep. Even though in other iterations, Superman was never a secret, and she wrote about Superman, but after she found out who he really was, she didn't write about who he really was. And yeah, so awesome, awesome scenes, and we're gonna move along, and I think this is where right before that, right before the scene and where Perry yells at her is the scene where Dave likes to keep talking about is a scene where first they're showing like a bus, and this kid is picking on Clark, and he's like saying, "Oh, what do you think of the game? Did you watch the game?" And all of a sudden the bus swerves, and we don't know why it swerved. I don't know. The driver could have been drunk or high or something. I don't know. But,
Or spud out.
on some kind of drug or had a heart attack and died. Who knows? But the bus goes flying off, kind of like this bridge into the water, and the kids are screaming and start drowning. And of course, Clark opens up the door and just kind of instead of um, grabbing each kid individually and then swimming them up because it would take too long. And he probably just doesn't, his powers aren't developed enough for him to do that super fast. He just picked up the entire bus. And most of the kids are too busy screaming and fearing for their lives to even notice what's happening or that they're being saved, and definitely not seeing Clark, except for a little girl looks at him and sees it, and this girl is none other than Lana Lang, which that is basically she gets mentioned again once more, and then that's it. There is no Lana Lang in this story, which is a shame. I really like the story of Lana Lang, and you get a little bit of a Lana Lang story in Superman 3, but that's it.
Oh yeah.
Here.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I remember in Superman 3, Lana was played by the same actress who played Martha in Smallville.
Yeah, I was actually going to just mention that. Yes.
Sorry.
O'Toole. I can't think of her first name. She's the daughter of Peter O'Toole, I think. Annette O'Toole. Yeah, she's the one who played Lana Lang in Superman 3, and then played Martha Kent in Smallville. I loved her as Martha. She was great as Martha. And of course, Jonathan Kent was played by the Duke Boy. John just a good old boys. Never been the hunt. I actually love the episode where Tom Wopat came onto the show, and they kind of he drove the car that looked that was a muscle car, and the doors were broken, and they had to go in through the window, just like they had to in General Lee. It was just kind of a throwback to Dukes of Hazzard, which I love that show. So that episode was really awesome. It was really great. It wasn't the first time he was in this show. He ran as a Senate. He was running for senator. He was kind of a big shot, but they were friends, and I really liked that. That was really good. But yeah, I really like John Snyder as Jonathan Kent. He did an awesome job as Jonathan Kent. Great job. Loved it. Um, but anyways, yeah. So we got that school bus scene. The girl scene. Now, then we have a scene where we have. Oh yeah, Clark stays. Pete, I guess, had fallen out of the the bus or something, like swam or something. I don't know. So he had to go back and save him, and so I guess he told his mother what happened, and probably. I mean, I don't think he was trying to get Clark in trouble or anything else. He was just trying to
But his
like
father was really disappointed in him.
he couldn't. Yeah, we're not at that second point yet, but yeah, I don't think his father was disappointed per se, but his father was disappointed that he wasn't more careful. I don't know. I kind of didn't like that whole scene. We'll get to that in 1 second. But so the mother's like, "Oh, I think kind of on this side of fortune, Martha, about the son." And no, we're not. My son was there, and there was another girl there. Lana Lang saw her too. He was on the bus and knows, and he's out of the bus, and he saved you. And this is not the first time he's done miraculous things, because obviously he's been doing this for a while, just like in Smallville. And I don't know why the mother is saying it like accusing. Like, you should be thankful that your son is fucking alive, not accusing them of something or stirring up trouble, So
Yeah.
definitely fucked up. And then the father's talking to him, and he's like, "You're mad at me." He's like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't be talking about this, you shouldn't be showing your powers and blah blah blah." And I know that Jonathan always thought that he should keep it a secret, okay, but on the other hand, he never told him to stop helping people. Just be careful about it and make sure no one sees you or whatever, That was what he always said. So I did not like this little talk at all. I think it was completely out of character for John Snyder. The writers definitely were wrong. Kevin Costner was an okay Jonathan. I have more issue with the writers where they wrote the character than I have with Kevin Costner. But he was an okay Jonathan, but he's definitely not my favorite. You know, I'd have to say, well, I don't know, the original older guy, which I don't even know his name, was always going to be Jonathan Kent to me. Um, and Martha was the two older couples, and they were much older in the original. And it
Oh,
was like
it did.
his natural father was older, and his natural mother was a little bit older. Of course, she was at least 10 years younger than Doro, so good for him.
Definitely.
But Marlo Brando getting the young pussy. But, yeah. So, anyways, I don't know. He'll just always be the original. Will always be the ones for me. But other than that, I just loved the way John Snyder played him. Yeah, we had 10 years of John Snyder playing the dad, and we had 4 years of that guy, whoever it was, playing the father in Lois and Clark. The parents were okay, but they were never like they were okay. I was never big on them as actor and actresses. They were decent people. I really loved Terry Hatcher and um why does my brain keep running blank? Um Dean Cain. Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain as Lois and Clark. So, but yeah, the parents were just. I know Jimmy Olsen. I can't think of his name. He was really good, and Perry was pretty good too. It was a good cast. The parents were. They went in it a lot, which I liked. I liked the story. But yeah, the parents, the actors and actors, they could have switched them out, and I wouldn't have cared that much. They weren't bad, but they just didn't embody the part like other people have. Um, but yeah, so anyways, so after that, we kind of go back to it's where Clark is visiting his mother, and they're talking, and then all of a sudden there's like the house that shakes, power goes out, and they kind of go into the house, which I'm not sure why Martha went into the house. I know it's her house, but the whole house shaking like that maybe she might not want to be in the house because she could have gotten hurt. Obviously, Clark's not going to get hurt, but that was my thoughts, anyways. Surprised he didn't say anything, but all of a sudden you see things on TV and phones and everything everywhere going alone, alone. This message, you're not alone, not alone, alone. And it reminds you kind of like one of those 50s and 60s sci-fi movies saying you're not alone, and these UFOs letting them know that you're not here and telling you that you have 3 hours and we're gonna destroy the Earth or something like that. Some kind of B movie type sci-fi movie. That's what it reminded me of, to me anyways. It definitely reminded me of that. Had that feel. I'm sure that's what Zack Snyder was thinking when he made this movie, because I think Zack Snyder did a lot of horror B movies in his day. Probably did some sci-fi as well. So yeah, he probably did stuff like that then and wanted to incorporate that, and it was good. It really fit perfectly into it. So I really enjoyed that, and then we hear Zod, and basically, nobody can stop this dog from doing what he's doing. Like, he's taking over phones and monitors and TVs and any kind of electronics where you can watch something. And he's saying, okay, you're not alone, and you have a citizen of my planet living with you, and for some reason he goes into hide. I don't know why, but he's gonna look like you, but he's not like you, and you need to turn him over. And the fate of your planet rests on you turning him over. And I say this to you, Kal-El, turn yourself over, or they will pay the consequences.
What
Of
would
course,
have been an interesting Kal-El is if Nicolas Cage had gotten the role.
I
What?
really wish we could have seen it. I mean, I remember hearing about Nicolas Cage playing the role, and I was just like, I just saw Raising Arizona, and I was like, no fucking way. I was like, no fucking way. Kind of like hearing about Michael B. Keaton playing Batman type thing. I was wrong about that, and I think I might have been wrong with this because I finally did see him in the suit, and I saw like the making of, or the almost making of, or whatever. And I really wish we had seen that. I believe in some alternate universe, there's a universe where we got Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Uh, I don't know. It seems kind of weird to imagine that. Although I
But
guess you never know.
Have you seen that documentary? He looked pretty fucking good. The suit was way
Uh,
different too.
Sorry, which documentary?
Oh, what's it called? What was the movie supposed to be called?
Oh God!
Okay, wait, I'll Google it.
Yeah, just Google Nicolas Cage playing Superman documentary. What is that called? That's the worst typing.
Uh, The Death of Superman Lives. Is that
No,
it?
no. But wait, yeah.
Yeah,
That is it. That is it. That is it. I forgot that's what they called it. I thought it was
Oh,
about the Death of Superman when I first saw it.
I've got a copy of it.
Good.
It
I want
was
a copy of
from
this.
2015.
Yeah. I
Another
don't watch
documentary that
documentaries,
isn't bad.
but
Another documentary that isn't bad. It's called "Look Up into the Sky."
I've seen that one too. Now, I say I don't watch them, but there are exceptions. Star Wars, Superman. I don't usually watch documentaries, but actually Stan Lee, I watched one on Stan Lee too. People like superheroes or Star Wars. I'm a nerd, so nerd stuff. I tend to like those kind of documentaries. Nerd stuff, not like geek stuff, like insects and all that other shit. Like that is boring. Like I remember
yeah.
I was upset of Big Bang Theory when Leonard was saying, "I want to pick the movie," and he takes a penny to see like a 4 hour documentary on fucking this or that, and she's completely bored. But then she kind of almost gets a date telling this nerd about it because she still has Leonard, but doesn't want to admit it. So she gets someone who looks like just like him, but she just wants to make him jealous. But yeah, that's yeah, it was kind of fun. Like I would have been like Penny, like, why the fuck are we watching this stupid ass movie? Like, I would have been like, we may be friends and you can choose the movie, but I'm not gonna say that movie. Plain and simple. Like, I'm not gonna say that movie. Like, no, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you can't choose a fucking movie that I might like a little bit at least. Like, come on, documentary's gonna put me to fucking sleep. And she had to pay for her own ticket, which again, they're not dating, but she had to pay her ticket to go see a fucking movie she doesn't want to see. And yes, he did, but he was getting pussy, and that's why he did it. So different. He's not getting anything out of this. That was a good episode. But anyways, off topic again. We always do this.
Yeah.
I know I'm probably the worst one, but hey, oh well. So yeah, so Zod's there, and he wants Superman to. Superman doesn't know what to do. He ends up talking to a priest, as Clark Kent, and basically says tells him who he is, and I guess this priest is honorable and not going to doesn't turn him in, and tells him um, to look what does he believe, what is in his heart, he's like he doesn't believe he can trust God, but he also doesn't know if he can trust humans, and the priest, even he is ignorant, but this priest actually seems like a decent guy. It's weird seeing Superman go to a priest or Clark Kent or whatever. They've never done that. But,
yeah, it was kind of strange to include such a scene, but
I liked it.
an interesting addition, definitely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I'm not a Christian, but I didn't have an issue with the scene. Not at all.
No, I mean just it was unexpected in a
I agree.
Superman
I agree.
story, but
It was
it's
very
not bad.
unexpected. It was very unexpected. It was kind of left field, but it kind of added to the story. So I thought it was good. It was cool. So he basically tells him. So of course, at this point, the big mouth that Lois told the story to goes on TV and says, Lois Lane of the Daily Planet knows who this guy is. That everybody wants to know who it is because they're afraid that Zod's gonna kill everyone, which kind of understandable. But of course, Barry calls her right away and says, "Are you watching this?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "For once, I agree with him. You got to tell us who he is." And she lies. He lies straight out. He's like, "I don't know." He's like, This is not the time to go back on your reporter integrity. The world is at stake." In which I totally understand that point of view too. But then of course she sees the CIA showing up, and he's like, "I gotta go," and she tries to run, but yeah, that ain't happening. CIA stops her. Well, kind of, sort of. I guess arrests her, but because she knows who he is, and they need to know. And of course, he shows up at the base where she's at, and he's like, the general guy's like, "Okay, you got our attention. What do you want?" He's like, I had to turn myself over, but only after you release Lois Lane. What makes you think she's here? And he's just almost like an eye roll, like I can see everything in your facility, and knows in there. I can see her in there. I know she's here. Don't try, don't try to fool me, type thing. Kind of funny. And anyways, next thing he's in handcuffs, and they're walking him in the thing, and she's like, "You let them put handcuffs on you?" And he's like, "Just kind of makes them feel better." So he kind of shrugs it off, I'm just doing it for show, and everybody knows Superman. Yeah, he's just doing it for show. Like he turned himself in. There's no fucking way they were taking Superman in if he didn't want to be taken in.
Definitely.
Terrible kryptonite at that point. So, and the handcuffs definitely didn't mean nothing. And they get in there, and Lois is like, and then of course she gets to the S on his chest with, "Why do you have an S on your chest?" And he looks at her, on my planet, it's not an S. On my planet, it means hope, which is great, and always from the comics. And of course, and then she kind of laughs and goes, "Well, on my planet, it's an S." And he kind of laughs a little. He's into her. He's definitely into her. He was probably into her the first time he met her and saved her life. And of course, she was very thankful too. and you definitely they could tell the chemistry between the two characters. Definitely great chemistry between the actor and actress, and then of course she's about to say ask for. She kind of says it's Superman, but then they kind of someone comes in and interrupts her, and you don't really hear her say it. Like I know he hears it, but I'm sure nobody else really heard her say Superman. Of course, she's always the one that coined Superman, but here they don't really give her credit for it. She does say it, but they don't give her credit for it because she writes about it in the Daily Planet usually. But anyways, Dr. Neil comes in and he's about to say who he is. I'm Doc, and Clark stands up and he's like, I know who you are. And he breaks out the handcuffs like, they're paper clips and walks over there and he's like, I know who you are. And you're Dr. Blah, blah, blah. I can see through your pocket, in your pocket. I also can see that you have a lifesaver in your pocket, a green one. I think it's a green one. And I also see that you have all these guns or weapons or everything trained on me. He's like, that's not necessary. And the guy's like, you don't expect us to just stand down. And he's like, I turn myself over. I'm here on my behalf. And he's like, well, that may we have to turn you over. He's like, do what you have to, General. Like he's totally cooperating with them. He knows that they're between a rock and a hard place, but he's putting his. Oh yeah, the priest said you gotta have before trust. You gotta have a leap of faith. So he decides to put a leap of faith in humanity, and that they're gonna and everything that everything will be okay. And I don't think they were necessarily. They didn't act like they were too worried on him, but they were also not really wanting necessarily to bend down to God's words, whatever, but they at least had it stuck, And so he does it for himself. And then of course, all of a sudden Ursula goes, God wants the woman, her points at Lois, too. That's when we have that kind of asshole Captain, well, the fuck his rank is, who had told her, piss in the corner, stand up and will walk forward and say, "Oh no, you said you wanted one of your citizens, and that's fine, okay? But this is one of ours. You didn't say anything about that." And the woman's like, "Do you want me to tell General Zod you refuse to comply?" And he's like, "I don't give a damn what you tell him. When you're not gonna." And then Lois steps forward and says, "It's okay. I don't mind. I'll go with." And she and Clark go into the ship. And, well, before they go in the ship, they go kind of in the ship but not in it yet. And Ursula says, "You're gonna have to wear this because our atmosphere is different in here, and you won't be able to breathe." And of course, I'm thinking at the same time, what about Clark? But so she gets to put one of those cool masks, and then of course he comes in and he talks to Zod. Then all of a sudden he starts feeling it, the atmosphere, and he's like joking and stuff. And she's like, "Help him." And Zod's like, "Oh, I can't. He has to go through it." And, well, which is a lie because he could have just gave him a mask. But he wanted him to go through the metamorphosis um, uh, to get him used to it because they want to turn all of Krypton all of Earth into Krypton, another Krypton. So he wants to get the Kryptonian used to it. And of course, Lois is all upset about it. And then we go into like a kind of like a dream hallucination. It's part hallucination, part not. Zod is talking to him, but he's seeing Zod next to him talking to him, and he's wearing like jeans and a white T-shirt, and he's Clark Kent instead of Superman, and Zod's in his outfit, and he starts talking about the Kodak and about remaking Earth and Kryptonite and Krypton, and he's like, well, "What's going to happen to the people that are here?" And he's like, "Oh, whenever you start a new civilization, you got to build upon something." And Clark is surrounded by skulls. Like the entire ship is all skulls, and he's looking around just seeing human skulls, and all of a sudden he starts sinking into the human skulls, and he throws his arm up, and he's sinking in like it's quicksand. And you see the top of his head and his arm out, and he's like, "No!" And he wakes up, or pops out of the hallucination, whatever, and he can breathe again. He's kind of back to normal. He's learned to adapt to the Kryptonian atmosphere, but then he ends up being he refuses to help and refuses to tell where the codex is and all, and they end up putting him in restraints, and of course he doesn't have any powers because he's in Krypton's atmosphere right now. So he's like in red sun atmosphere, which takes away all his powers because he got his powers from the yellow sun. So and then Lois is brought into a cell on her own, but somehow she got a hold of the key, the L key that Clark had in the ship that had accidentally
Oh,
called
she was given it to, Clark, or Superman gave it to her while she was while they were both on the ship.
Oh, I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah, he handed it to her
Thank you
on
for
the
chiming
fly.
in. Okay, I'm glad he did. You see, smart. And I didn't even notice that the 3 times I watched this movie, I did not notice that. So I'm very glad you pointed that out, and I'll have to look for it next time I watch it. I might watch it soon because the version I saw today was very laggy because I watched it on Discord with Dave. It was cool watching it with him, but it was very laggy, so I want to watch it in good quality. um, but anyways, so she's smart too. She's always smart, which is why I've had a little complaints about her never figuring out who Superman is, even with the whole magic of not being able to say who Clark is and Superman. She fucking works with Clark. She loves Superman. She loves Clark, and she can't figure it out. I never liked that. But anyways, and you say a little bit blind. Come on. But she figures out to put the key into this hole, and when she does, she manifests a computer-generated version of Jor-El again, which we already Kal-El had already met. Clark had already met him, and she jumps and like, "How did you get in here?" And then he tells her, "I'm Jor-El, Kal-El's father." And she says, "When you put me into the system, you downloaded me into the system." So he's now taking over the system of this ship. It's an incredible AI that not only has the feelings and the voice and everything of Jor-El, like it's actually him. He can physically alter the world. So I mean, he basically can come back to life, even though it's not really him. Um, and then control the ship on too. I thought that was so fucking awesome, so awesome. Um, Technology of Krypton is so incredible. But so he helps her by I don't know what he does. I think he knocks the people out. And she's like, "Did you do that?" He's like, "Yes." And he's like, "Grab the gun." I don't know. I forget what they called it. Call it something. And so she grabs one, and then he's like, "To your right," and she shoots and shoots somebody. They're behind you. Kind of like her eyes, but he knows where they are all the time because he's part of the ship, and she keeps shooting them down, and she's a great shot, even though he's being guided, but she's still shooting, and she still doesn't even know his weapon, but she figures it out and shoots people. Um, so I really like that. I really like how awesome Lois is, and then of course he tells her how they can stop Zod, and gets her to a pod. He's like, "Get in this pod, and you'll be sent to Earth, and here's the information on how to stop Zod." And before this happened, he said, "Take your mask off. I'm switching the air back to like Earth's air in here, so that all the Kryptonians won't be able to breathe, and they'll just be weak and won't be able to stop them. And also, Kal-El will gain his strength back because he will be back powered by the sun, which of course he breaks free of his restraints and and she starts catapulting to Earth in the pod, but for some reason the pod is not working right, and she's kind of falling to towards Earth, and then when she gets into the atmosphere and everything, the pod seems like it's kind of burning up too. Um, and Superman is talking to his father, and his father's like, um, basically telling him quickly what's going on, and then says, look down, and he's like, you can save her, because he sees Lois, and you see Earth, and he's like, you can save her, you can save all of them, and then Superman kind of floats out, turns around, and shoots flies, and you see him chasing after the pod, and of course he finally catches up to it, and he just kind of grabs it, and you see her like looking at him because she can look out, which is pretty like, wow, I can't imagine being in a ship that's free falling like that, and you can see like that. That'd be so freaking. That whole thing. She's still conscious though, and he just kind of, you see him punch the glass, and then you see him fly down and land at his mother's house, and basically says he's safe there while he kind of flies off. So, what do you think about this? About these scenes, Dave or Boris?
You go first.
I actually remember, if we are talking about the same scenes now that I'm thinking about, when I was watching the movie in theaters, I remember when we were watching things from the outside, like with things blowing up and all that. I was kind of struggling to connect it to what is happening with each particular character at the same time. Those parts were kind of confusing to me. I remember that. Although maybe that's later in the movie, I'm not sure. No.
We were talking about the scene where Superman gives himself up, and Zod shows up, and Superman gives himself up, and talks to Lois, and then they both go into the ship, and that whole thing. That's the scenes we're talking about.
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I don't remember much from that. I'm sorry.
Okay, Dave.
Well, I see the whole thing with
Boris.
Yes.
You're typing.
Ah.
yeah, we can hear it.
In
Extremely
stereo.
loudly. The point in which Zod actually is like speaking to like all the Americans and whatnot. I mean, that part right there, I thought was kind of cool because you could definitely tell that Superman's mom was in fact getting a little bit scared, and the military, I think that's exactly what would happen if something like this would happen. The military, because no matter what, Superman was the bad guy, as well. Besides, and
what?
Now they suddenly hear about this man who has all these powers, and they're being threatened for their lives to, give this man up that's been here for 30 years and they didn't even know about it.
33.
And then they, yeah. Well, no matter what, he was a threat, because
Zod was a threat. They didn't know anything about
Zod was a threat, but they no matter what, we're like, okay, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you this
All right. Well, I
Superman
mean,
because we didn't need.
I don't 100% disagree with what their conclusion was. They ain't know who he was. They ain't know anything about him. All they know is that this guy claiming that he's innocent, and he's out in a fucking spaceship that already took over all communications on the planet, and who knows what else they can do. I think I'd be in the same boat. I'd be turning this guy over too. You know, as much as I love Superman,
Mhm.
as much as I want to root for Superman, and the government can be bad at this point. I don't think the government's bad.
Well, regardless, they basically take the situation in hand and be like, okay, we would not want to be dead. Let's give up this guy because he's more threat and harmful than us dealing with it. And Superman's all okay with it. He's like he understands, He just gives himself up, And once they
and
get
let
to the
them
ship,
conquer all that.
I mean, one thing that I didn't like was the fact that they made Lois go with him or whatnot. But I guess in a sense, I understand why because otherwise,
I think it was leverage
I
to get him to do what they wanted.
yeah, yeah, that was basically it. But it
I
wasn't
mean,
what
it
he originally said.
ultimately kicked them in their own, shot them in their own foot because if Lois had not been there, um, things would have turned out way different. You know, who knows how it would have turned out? Because Lois is one that saved the day. You know, between her and releasing Jor-El and Jor-El, it wasn't for them. You know, who know? You know, so yeah, if Lois hadn't been on the ship, they would have been more screwed. So we'd have had a different story.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but
So another
yeah,
choice that
and
that
then
bad guys went to do, that ended up being their ruin.
And of course, if he hadn't have gotten them up on that ship to begin with, we wouldn't have gotten that whole storyline line of how they ended up finding him because it
Well, I
wasn't
mean, we
until he
still
went
would have
and
gotten
like
that
turned
story.
on his
It's
fucking
just
ship.
Lois wouldn't have been there, you know, on the ship, you know, which would have changed it. But we still would have gotten that story, I think.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I liked it. Um,
Now, do you agree
it
with
was
what I was
pretty decent.
saying? Do you agree with what I was saying? That um the scene with Zod, you know, going onto the monitor and the computer really reminded me of the like 1950s and 60s sci-fi movies.
Mm. Yeah, I don't even
Yeah,
remember watching those.
Well, Dave did. Dave,
it did kind of. Yeah, it did kind of remind me of some of the 1950s stuff.
now
It's
I don't
just
I don't know if you
you
knew
know
this, but
technology has advanced so much.
right, but it still reminded us of that. But Zack Snyder used to do B movies, horror movies, and probably some sci-fis and stuff. So that's probably where he got the inspiration from, and it really fit in this movie.
Uh, okay, his B movies might be interesting to check out.
Maybe, I don't know. I like Zack Snyder, but yeah, he was not a big Hollywood director um, before Man of Steel and stuff. So I mean, I don't know if he did something else that brought him to stardom, with why he got chosen Man of Steel, or what. I got to look more into it, but
Oh,
I do
Zack
know
Snyder.
that. Yeah, I know a little bit about him, but I don't know a lot. I know more about him than I know about most directors. All right, well, you looked that up. I'll say what my thoughts. Well, I already said I like that scene. I really like this. I like the scene how, on the ships. I really love that scene where he's sinking into the skulls. It's such a visual, such a holy shit moment. Like that visual is just so awesome. Like Superman realizing they want to build Krypton on the deaths of billions of innocent people. And that's why he's like, I can't stand with you on that. And so I was like, what can you stand with me on? And blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's just that scene is just so fucking phenomenal. It's gotta be one of the best scenes in the movie. It's not my favorite scene, but it's definitely one of the best scenes. Hands down, one of the best scenes. And I'll mention it again when we do favorite scenes because it's such an awesome scene. Boris, wake up. You're snoring.
Uh, what do you mean?
It sounds like you're sleeping, dude, when you're breathing like that. I know it's the way you breathe, but that's what it sounds like to us.
Uh, well, I don't know what I can do about my breathing. I'm sorry.
Stop breathing. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whatever you did before, last time I told you, you did something and we didn't hear it anymore. So,
Maybe I put my phone further away from myself.
Probably did.
Okay, so Zack Snyder, he's originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, he's still awesome.
But he made his feature film debut with the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Ah.
And then he did the movie 300, and then he became famous for Watchmen.
Oh, okay.
In 2009, which ultimately led him to Man of Steel.
Yeah, which kind of qualified him for Man of Steel because Watchmen is a superhero movie, kinda.
Yep. But yeah, he was born in '66 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So, yay, Wisconsin!
Yeah, he's even older than Tammy.
Interesting.
I can hear her now. So, get up, girl.
But yeah, so where are we now?
I'm in my living room. I think you're in the room. I think Boris might be.
I mean in the movie. Where are we in the?
So Loris is just about saved, and she's in the pod, escaping from the ship. Then Superman goes off to do stuff, and I don't know. They're looking all around Kansas area for the Codex, and I don't know where Lois went. 'Cause she was on the farm, but she must have went somewhere because the ships came down and started harassing Martha, and asking her where the Codex is, and then they think it's in the barn. Oh no, where Clark's ship is, and they think it's in the barn, and they go to the barn, and oh yeah, at one point Ursula is choking Martha and holding her up, and then I think Zod had her or something. Someone had her, and this is when Clark shows up, and he's like, "You're hurting my mother," and he's just, he's the big mama's boy, and don't mess with a mother, especially when their son is Superman. Because it was Zod, because he grabs Zod and kind of shoves him through buildings and a bunch of buildings and things, which okay, he was causing some major damage and probably caused some deaths there. Um, that was kind of Superman that did that, but of course, this wasn't the part why Bruce was mad at him. He was mad at him for the Metropolis part, which was not him. Um, so yeah, uh, he definitely he was thinking with his emotions that his mom was being hurt than with anything else. And yeah, then we have a big fight there, and um, eventually, they figure out that they they can get the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Zone is the key, and if they collide, um, something they got from Clark's ship, I think, with the ship, it'll blow up, and that captain dude, whatever, says they can fly an F-16 in it and just drop it onto the ship. And they end up doing that, but of course it doesn't quite go in all the way, and it has to be rammed. Basically a suicide mission. So that dude, who could have ordered anyone to do it, um, said volunteered and said he would do it. He would sacrifice his life to stop them and save the world. And he did. He sacrificed his life. Um, there wasn't anything much Superman could do to help him because he couldn't do that himself because of being that close to the world engine. He wouldn't have been able to survive it either, and he still had to stop Zod, who wasn't on the ship. You know, and if he had tried to suicide himself and he got killed, no one would be there to stop Zod. Even though the world engine was gone and all his people were dead, Zod would still be there.
Yeah, good.
I was very pissed off Zod with
Uh,
superpowers. So
Good point for all the haters.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is before we even get to that scene, but yeah, I agree. So, uh, then now we got so the ship blows up. The dude dies, heroic death. Like I said, at first he was kind of an ass, but he turned around and very honorable dude. I liked him much better. Later, the character, I can't remember his name, but anyways, so then we have Zod coming and he's like, you did this, destroyed your people and you showed these I don't remember ants or whatever he said. I forgot what he said, what he called them, what we called humans. But he's like, you chose them and blah blah blah. And he's like, I'm gonna make you suffer. I'm gonna kill everyone. And you just, but he's first he wants to beat him bad because he's just watched his ship and everybody he loved die in a fiery blaze and all his plans and everything go up. I mean, I understand Zod's feelings. I don't agree with Zod at all on things, but I definitely understand his point of view and how pissed off he is and why he's so pissed off at Kal-El and Superman. But during they stop fighting with Superman, ends up popping out his helmet, and he seems to be able to breathe okay. Like he adapted to the breathing part super quick. No puns intended. Uh, but he saw the vision, the hearing, and all that stuff. He starts freaking out more like Clark did as a kid, and being an adult, he might the powers might be even stronger to start. So it might be even more of a holy shit, what the fuck is going on moment. Um, so yeah. I don't
Okay.
So yeah. So then of course we have the scene. There's this big fight. They end up in Metropolis. Um, the planet gets kind of destroyed, and there's a woman trapped and everything. And we don't really notice the Wayne building, but of course, anybody who saw Batman vs Superman, we know what happened to that building, and everything. And kind of looks a lot like the Daily Planet did. Um, and yeah, and then we get to the museum scene, and Zod has hostage and of a family, and Clark is still trying to talk him down, talk Zod into giving himself up peacefully and not and not destroying and killing more people, and not making him stop him, and Zod will have none of it. And he's like, you're gonna have to kill me. I'm not gonna stop. And I think before he made that comment, which is very cool. He's like, well, how the farm boy versus a military general. Of course, going by that, just that alone, most people are going to set that with the military general. I mean, he ended up picking up the powers very quickly. He got over the feeling of all the people talking and everything else very quickly, probably because he doesn't really care about people and doesn't have the empathy for them, like Clark does. So it was easier for him to tune them out. Plus his military training. So yeah, uh, Superman. So this is where Superman ends up having to use his hearing vision, and kill Zod. And again, more graphic than Superman 2, but not the first time that the Superman has killed Zod. He's killed him many times in the comics, I believe. And of course, he killed him in Superman 2. And Lois killed Ursula and everything. We talked about it already on the show. So, to you haters, what the fuck?
Mm, yeah, I
I,
did.
I
I
like Superman 2, but yeah.
I didn't even mind that it was more graphic, like they were trying to make the movie more serious, so that's fair enough to me.
Yeah, I didn't mind that it was definitely more of a graphic.
I didn't mind it either.
Effect.
I mean, people had issue with that, and they had
I
issue with
mean,
people.
the comic books were much more darker,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
then
they
they made
I guess they had
movies
the
feel.
issue of the movie being so much darker, of actually seeing people hurt and dying, and so yeah, it was a much darker version of Superman than we're used to, but I really thought it was awesome, and I don't understand the haters. Basically, I just don't understand. 10 years later, I still don't understand the point. You know.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about the scene so far? Just about done here.
Yeah, we're basically just about done. But
Like
I
said that.
I really love the fight between Zod and Superman. I mean, it's kind of an ongoing thing throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's basically two huge scenes where they're
yeah,
fighting, and there's just a tiny little bit of scene in between their fights. Two fights. It's like part one in Smallville, part two in Metropolis.
I mean, I do like the whole um,
Forest
Yes.
typing.
Mm,
hey, what did you think about the scene so far, Boris?
I also thought the final fight was pretty good. It just, like I said, I remember when I was watching it, when they were showing things like on the bigger picture of what was happening with things falling down, the explosions, and whatever was going on there. I was kind of struggling to figure out what was happening there and how it was connecting to particular characters. I remember having issues with that. But it was still an intense scene from what I remember.
Yeah, I remember him going through. Oh, um, he went through an IHOP. I thought that was kind of cool because IHOP over here in Milwaukee, it's kind of gone downhill. It may not have gone downhill over in your neck of the woods, but the last time that we were at IHOP, like you couldn't tell the place was open. The waitresses were hiding, and when we actually got our food, they were like hockey pucks.
Wow.
So it was bad. I mean, they had
I can't remember
turned
the
the
last
lights
time I had
down,
IHOP.
and we waited like 20 minutes just for one of the servers to show up to seat us, and there was no one there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That was the IHOP near us, and I'm sorry, I haven't been back.
I don't remember the
But
last time I went to IHOP, but I know I didn't have a bad experience. It was fine. But I personally liked that we had a more local one. It's a small franchise called Bickford's Breakfast, and I actually liked them better. Um, IHOP was
I mean,
good.
maybe pandemic didn't
My
help.
my mother wants to take my niece. My mother. Oh my god. My sister wants to take my niece to IHOP because she absolutely loves pancakes. So, take her to a house of pancakes. She'll go crazy. She's 3. Oh. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
So
I think he slammed through some buildings, and
oh yeah,
oftentimes
absolutely.
Metropolis reminds me of New York. You
Oh
know,
yeah, definitely. It is, but it isn't. You know, I mean, there is a Metropolis, Illinois, but this is this Metropolis. Everyone knows it's New York, but DC never used real cities. Marvel used real cities. DC didn't. So basically, this version of Metropolis is New York City. So
okay.
instead, we have what?
And then after the death of Zod, then we get
I'll finish it off.
okay.
Well, after Zod, basically we have Clark saying, I gotta basically have like a secret identity, and she's like, and have get a job. And she's like, well, what are you gonna do? He's like, well, I already got one, and then he kind of explains how, going around asking questions might be, you know, odd. So I'm gonna do this, and you see that next thing you see is Daily Planet, and he's, you know, walking into work, and Perry White introduces, I'm using quotation marks here, introduces Clark and Lois, and says, can you show them around? It's funny because in reality, that probably wouldn't happen because she's the ace reporter and she wouldn't be saddled with showing a new guy around, no matter what. But it's always the case in every Superman story that Lois shows him around, but just saying in reality, at least not now. Maybe in the 30s, but yeah. But anyways, so and then she's like, "Welcome to the planet," which I really love that line because, of course, Lois is saying Daily Planet, but is she just saying the Daily Planet, or is she saying the planet because she knows he's an alien and she's welcoming him to the planet? I just love the double entendre with that, and I mean the double meaning, and This is a really interesting, great way to end the movie. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. It ends with her saying, "Welcome to the planet," which is awesome, you know. And yeah, and then of course we waited for years for Man of Steel 2. Finally, they announced Man of Steel 2. They said they're gonna call it Batman versus Superman. And then of course we realized at some point that it's not really Man of Steel 2. It's just Batman versus Superman. BVS for short. I enjoyed the movie, but definitely had some plot holes. Definitely had some issues. Um, the director's version cleared up a lot of things that people had complaints about. So the director's version should have been the theater version. It cleared up most of the complaints, if not all. There was a lot of complaints, and some honestly, some complaints were valid. Yes, Doomsday did look like a giant Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, with spikes all over him. Yeah, they did a shit job with Doomsday. They did a much better job with Doomsday in Smallville with a much smaller budget. So yeah, don't I don't understand why they did such a horrible job with Doomsday. And also, Doomsday should have been a trilogy, and the fight between Superman and Doomsday should have been like the third of the trilogy, in my opinion. And we should already have had like that should have been the Justice League movie. The first Justice League movie was maybe Doomsday or setting up for Doomsday. And then of course Superman dies, and then he's brought in like back in like the second Justice League movie or something, or he comes back like he does in the comics or whatever. However they want to do it, but the way they did them having the whole movie be about Batman versus Superman, and Batman just kind of blaming him for what happened in Metropolis, and blaming him for basically what happened in Wayne Towers, and not because it was Wayne Towers, but because the guy and all his other workers were killed, like it was personal for him because of that. Like, I mean, I didn't notice Wayne Towers being destroyed in Metropolis in the movie, in Man of Steel, but then I wasn't really looking for it, so it's interesting to know. I wonder if it was actually there or not, or if it was just like an afterthought that Zack had, or did he actually put like a thing where it showed Wayne Towers like being destroyed somewhere in the movie, just because he knew that he was going to be doing that with Superman, you know, um, or did he think he was going to do Man of Steel 2 first? I don't know. It's kind of interesting, wondering how that plays out, but and of course, there's a lot of times we have Bruce Wayne has a Wayne building in Metropolis in comics and cartoons and everything. So it's not unheard of for Wayne Tech to be in Metropolis, because Gotham is actually on the other side of the harbor from Gotham, from Metropolis. Um, so yeah, they're across river harbor neighbors. And so I don't know, the whole thing. I know people want you Superman versus Batman, blah blah blah. People want it, blah blah blah. It shouldn't have been the whole movie. Doomsday shouldn't have been the big bad in the movie. It was cool the way Wonder Woman kind of just showed up, and they were just like, "I thought she was with you. No, I thought she was with you." That was funny. So at least they were dark with Batman vs Superman, but not quite as dark as Man of Steel. They did have a little bit of jokes, but not too many. Um, Little interesting point when Lex Luthor Jr. introduced Clark Kent to Bruce Wayne, and he's like, "Oh, two big meetings," and he didn't even know how big it was because he didn't know their alter egos at this point.
Uh,
But
Oh, yeah, one thing I found kind of strange about Man of Steel is that there was no Lex Luthor.
yeah, I was thinking that today. Like, they decided to go with the Superman 2 more storyline than Superman 1 of Lex Luthor. And I mean, I don't know. Lex Luthor is a great fucking villain for being a human, And if they wanted to have Big Drago fight, Lex has a fucking mecha suit that has treated him very well against Superman that he built. So they could have done all kinds of different things with Lex Luthor, but they decided not to. I mean, maybe I guess Man of Steel 2 was supposed to be Brainiac, so we still wouldn't have had a Lex Luthor. But anyways, we did get Lex Luthor Jr. in Batman versus Superman, because in this world or this universe, Lex Luthor is dead. So we can only assume that at some point Lex and Superman had their rivalry, and now Lex is dead, and his son took over the evil empire, but is more like the original Lex Luthor of being a scientist than a politician. He seems to have a little bit of politician in him, but he's much more of a scientist, like the original Lex Luthor was in the comics. Original Lex Luthor was a mad scientist. So yeah, I liked that, and of course a lot of people were like, oh, there was a bad Lex Luthor. Well, he didn't play Lex Luthor. He played Lex Luthor Jr. He played the son of Lex Luthor, not the enemy of Superman, but the son of the enemy of Superman. He ended up being the enemy of Superman too, but following in his father's footsteps. I mean, they even show a picture of Lex Luthor at one point in Batman vs Superman as well. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick because we're talking about this movie, but I'll stop talking about that movie. We're done with this movie. Let's talk about production.
Yeah, at least I can remember the production, which was definitely amazing. I was, I was especially I was especially amazed by all the special effects, especially how they made Superman's cape look so much better here than in any movie before.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, and like I said, generally his costume looked much more serious here and more badass than in the previous versions. And of course, all the effects with the explosions and stuff, they were great. Oh yeah, a lot of spudouts. Except, like I already said, when those explosions were happening, I was kind of having a hard time following what exactly was going on.
You probably
But
definitely a movie that you should definitely watch more than a couple times. I can't believe it. You had only watched it the one time. This is my third, and I thought that was bad enough. So yeah, you definitely should watch it again. I know we're done with the discussion, but it's a fucking great movie. Like I said, I think I want to watch it again because it was very skippy, very very skippy. The watch we watched.
Yeah, and if it was skippy even on your end, then I don't know. But over here, unfortunately I couldn't join the stream because my internet connection is really acting like shit, as you can see. Even in this stream, I keep falling out, as you could see.
Oh no, it acts like shit.
Well,
yeah, I thought it would be better when I entered from my phone, but I still had glitches and stuff.
I actually really don't think that we need to talk about production all that much because we have talked about the production as we've gone along. What do you think?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, I just gotta say, yeah, the production was fucking awesome. Yes, we did talk about it a little bit, but I didn't get to say that. So, yeah, it was fucking awesome. All the way through, from beginning to end. Yeah, everything was great. The only thing, like I said, I think I like the original ship design in the beginning better. And another thing is, what exactly was that ship that the government found? It wasn't Kal-El's ship, but it was definitely Kryptonian. So what exactly was that? They never even explained that.
Could it maybe be Supergirl if you said she was sent to Earth as well?
Well, there's a Easter egg where you actually see another ship, small, ship like Kal-El, a small one, and a girl in it, and that was an Easter egg. So we never did get like another Supergirl movie. We have the Flash that has a Supergirl, but that Supergirl is Lois and Clark's daughter from a different timeline or something. So
Huh.
yeah, that's not
Have
the
you seen The Flash yet?
cousin. I have not. I haven't watched anything, dude. Told you I only watched the. I haven't even watched the Mandalorian season 3, man. That's fucking Star Wars. I haven't watched
Did
Star
the
Wars
rest
or
of that
DC.
the rest of that drop?
Season 3?
Yeah.
Oh, they. Oh, I don't know why they cut it up.
Yeah, they cut it up.
I have not watched one episode of season 3, dude. I've not watched anything.
Okay.
I guess
I've watched up at least.
I guess I'm kind of glad I didn't then, because I hate when they do that.
Yeah, I've watched up
this
the
is
end of season 2.
This is supposed to be the last season of The Mandalorian because Bob Iger, the old fart, fucking canceled it. I used to like Bob Iger. Now he can suck it.
Oh, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
The fuck are you talking about?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, and from what I
What
gathered,
are you talking about?
oh, I thought you were talking about the Super Mario Brothers
I
movie.
said we were talking about Mandalorian season 3. Where the Super Mario movies coming from?
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, who's been the CEO of Disney since I was a little kid, so he's gonna be like 100. Okay, is CEO again for some time, and he axed Mandalorian. Why
That was wrong.
Why I have no fucking clue, and I really hope that he changes his mind, or somebody changes their mind, or somebody fucking gets in there and puts it back on there, because yeah,
Like
I mean,
Netflix or Amazon.
okay, again, it's a Disney property. It cannot go anywhere.
Yeah.
But Disney,
I know.
whatever. It will not go anywhere, and it shouldn't go anywhere. It's just whoever's in charge after Bob Iger dies or passes it back to somebody else, they can do it, or he can change his mind. Or some people who are smart can say, don't cancel Mandalorian, like Dave Filoni or someone else. Even Kathleen fucking dumbass Kennedy might be behind Mandalorian not being canceled too, because it's part of her fucking Star Wars, even though she's a moron. But so I don't know. I haven't heard anything in a long time. So hopefully by this point the news is changed and there will be a season 4. But I don't know. I mean, they're still doing the other shows, but still, there was supposed to be them do all the shows and then them do kind of like like the Defenders when they did, Netflix got the Marvel movies together and then did a big movie with all of them together. That's what they were supposed to be building up to, and I guess they can still do that, but we're supposed to have a lot more Mandalorian. Everyone loves fucking Mandalorian, and Grogu. Which is why they had to bring Grogu back to him, and why he chose to be with Mandalorian instead of being a Jedi. Plus, not to mention, because of their stupid, huge bullshit of Kylo Ren murdered all the kids of the temple, and that means he would have murdered Grogu, and they didn't want Grogu being killed in the future. Even though they should just axe that and make that an Elseworlds thing and redo those movies. Not that the movies were, well, the second movie sucked dick, but first one was decent, the last one was good, but you know, altogether they don't coincide with each other or with the Star Wars in general. So it's best, I don't usually agree with reboots and things like that, especially with Star Wars, but here I do agree that it should be done. And there's easy ways to do it, and there's easy ways to, and they should just do like the Thrawn trilogy or something else that they should have done a long time ago. And those have to get. They got the guy, what the fuck's his name, who played Han Solo in the Solo movie, Eldritch. I can't think of his first name. Um, they got what's her name, Lords, Carrie Fisher's daughter. She looks a lot like her mother. She could play her mother. Um, and fuck's his name? Can't think of his fucking name. The one who plays Winter Soldier in Marvel. Oh, Sebastian Stan.
Oh
Sebastian
yeah.
Stan is almost a fucking identical twin of Mark Hamill. Like, you may not notice it when he's that, but they did like a side by side comparison of Sebastian Stan's regular look and Mark Hamill, and you can barely tell the two apart. And Mark Hamill even said he gives his blessing. Not that he has to give his blessing, but he did give his blessing for him to play Luke Skywalker. Like, he thinks it's a great idea that he played Luke Skywalker. That's why in The Mandalorian, a lot of people were surprised that they didn't have him. They thought they were going to have him play Luke in The Mandalorian instead of what they did. And of course, what they did was cool, but what they did was expensive. Very expensive. A lot more expensive than they would have. They just got Sebastian Stan to do it. So they could make a TV show out of it, but they would have to actually get Sebastian Stan to do it. And I'm sure he'd do it, because why the hell wouldn't he? He's fucking Star Wars. And he's a good actor, and he looks just like Mark Hamill. So what the fuck?
Definitely.
I don't know any stories of him, what his thoughts are. I'm sure there's got to be some. I'm sure people have talked to him about it. I'm sure it's been mentioned. So definitely would love to see that. But anyways, I don't know how we got on Star Wars, but we always do. Oh yeah, Mandalorian, blah blah blah. Okay, so I guess favorite scenes, favorite characters.
Uh,
Boris?
Go ahead, Boris.
my favorite character was definitely Superman. I mean, it's kind of difficult for anyone else to be the favorite character, and yeah, and my favorite scene, I think it was probably the final fight with Zod, even though, like I said, I had issues following what was happening with all the spudals and stuff, but yeah, the final fight was, I think, my favorite scene.
All right. Any other scenes you want to mention or throw out there?
The ending was good too when Lois introduced Clark, and yeah, as I already. Sorry, what?
When they get introduced and she welcomes him to the planet?
Yeah. And like I said before, it really is an innovation in this story that he, as Clark Kent, is not a colleague of hers throughout the whole story.
Yeah, I agree. I like it.
Yeah.
It's different but good. And Dave?
Well, I have to say one of my favorite scenes is actually right after Superman actually. I think when she gets thrown from the escape pod thingy, and she's spiraling to Earth, and he saves her from her crashing with it, and then he's dropping down with her, and there's the smoke around her. I don't know what about that scene is pretty fucking awesome, but it just looks really cool to me.
Definitely not
And that's
something.
one of the things that I'll take from this movie. That landing of him and her with the smoke around them. I don't know why, but that transition just looked cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that you mention it, it's kind of ringing a bell.
But I do really like the final fight scene. Oh, cool! The Flash downloaded. Anyways, the the fight scene. I didn't have a problem with the fact that he just kind of broke his fucking neck.
Yeah.
He kind of had to. It was there. He had no choice, and you know he put a situation where there was no other choice.
Even if there was other choice, Zod fucking deserved it. Who cares if there was other choice?
There wasn't
I
other
like
choices. There was.
I also like the part where
Okay, the other choice was not kill Zod. Zod killed those people in there, and then keep continuing his rampage, killing everybody on Earth. So I don't consider that a choice. So yeah, anybody else, anybody that had a complaint about it, let's hear your thoughts. What would you have done? What would you have written? Because you certainly have a lot of complaints about it. If anybody is listening that has
well,
any experience with that.
to be honest, there was no other choice.
I agree.
I don't think it
But,
was.
people complain about it, so they must, they must thought of something.
Well, yeah. If people complain about it, tell us what it could have been better.
Exactly.
Or
What I'm saying.
Give these writers a clue. Hint them in. you know. But in any case, I also like the scene where the Zod gets his mask cracked, and he's like, "What did you do to me?" You know, and he's like, "Well, I spent years honing my abilities, and ultimately, Zod was learning faster how to control his stuff, which is why he said later, you spent years on a farm where we spent years on Kryptonia or whatever,
Krypton.
But yeah, I enjoyed those three scenes for the most part, Oh, and like I said, him crashing into IHOP, I thought that was a blast. Oh, what about you, Crow?
Well, who was your favorite character? Because you didn't say.
Oh, definitely Superman. But Amy Adams is kind of like a secondary because
Zod's favorite character is
I
Superman.
was telling you earlier before we even got on that I liked how you could see that she was a more natural looking female instead of like a perfectly chiseled woman. Where you see no blemishes whatsoever. You could actually see her age lines and that her skin wasn't exactly perfect, but she was pretty nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, other than that, what about you, Crow?
Superman, and yes, Lois Lane was pretty fucking awesome. Very close second. I mean, it kind of, they always go together anyways. Lois and Clark and Lois, Superman, whatever. So it makes sense that she's second, and Amy Adams was an awesome Lois Lane. I hope whoever's doing it this next Superman Legacy movie is good. As well as the guy playing Superman. I don't know. Amy Adams did a great fucking job. I really liked her. There's been some good Lois Lanes out there. Even though Lois Lane from Supergirl, it's now part of Superman and Lois Lane. Tulak, I can't remember her first name. She was on in Grimm. It's the girlfriend in Grimm. Yeah. But anyways, as far as scenes, I have a couple scenes I have to mention, because of how awesome they were. And one I already mentioned, the skull scene, and like it was like the way he's like going into it like quicksand, and he's getting buried and falling into the quicksand of human skulls was just really fucking awesome. And that fight scene, where I had told you I seen a reaction video of a little kid watching it, where he really starts to not the first time he flies and falls to back down back down to the Antarctic, but when he really flies and doesn't crash back down, that scene where he goes to take off is so fucking awesome. The way he just puts his he kneels down, he's like puts his fist down, he's like rumbling up the whole earth around him. The stones are flying up in the air because he's trying to get the gravitational, because it's his first time flying, so he's trying to figure out how to do it. There's no handbook, kind of like in The Greatest American Hero too. But Superman ended up learning much better than William Cat's character did in Greatest American Hero. But yeah, so I have to mention those scenes, and then of course the favorite scene, it's just like everybody else, the final two fights and everything, the fight in Smallville and then the fight in Metropolis, and the snapping his neck and everything, and it had to be done. And yeah, and definitely did love the ending. I love Welcome to the Planet, perfect way to end the movie, absolutely great, just perfect. And I loved it. And I just couldn't wait for Man of Steel 2, which I'm still waiting for. And even though last year there was a big thing where it was announced that we're finally going to get a Man of Steel 2, and DC had said, go ahead and mention that you are back officially, Henry Cavill as Superman, and then the whole things of Man of Steel 2 things came out. And then, of course, anyone that doesn't have their head in the sand or buried somewhere knows that what's going on. That they hired a new head of James Gunn, which I like his movies. They hired him. How much of the decision making, I don't know. He's taking the blame. Is he really to blame? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it looks like James Gunn.
I don't know if it's James
It looks
Gunn
like James Gunn.
and his partner, but whoever is in charge, I mean, whoever is doing the changes. Okay, now I like what I've seen of the Legacy so far. What I'm hearing about it, it's basically gonna be like another fucking. It's gonna be a Justice League movie, but it seems to be doing it better. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I like his movies. I like his the Suicide Squad. So I don't think he's a bad director. I just I'm a huge Zack Snyder fan, so I'm definitely want the Snyderverse, and I really want Netflix to pick up the Snyderverse. That's of course if they. I mean, Henry Cavill wants to come back as Superman, but who knows what the fuck they're gonna be doing by the time if Netflix ever does it, and if WB will even sell it to Netflix. I'm sure Netflix would buy it if they could, but but that would be awesome. But who knows what's gonna happen? Because we don't just want we don't just want another we want Man of Steel 2. We want the Justice League 2 we were supposed to get. Like that Justice League we saw, set up for a trilogy. I mean, it ended. It didn't end like an ending. It ended with more to come. Some major more to come. The storyline that they were doing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so we totally got gypped on that, and us fans want it. Even if they end up doing it in animated form, I'd much rather have live action, even though the animated is fucking awesome. I just want a real fucking live live action, just leave 2 and 3 and do what they were originally gonna do. But you know, I don't. I really wish that would happen. I still see all kinds of things on Twitter. Like Twitter is huge, still trying to make this happen. They're still pushing for this campaign. So I have no idea how many people are involved and how many petitions that are out there. I know I've signed a petition, um, and who knows if anything's going to happen. I know there's been a petition for Netflix to do a, um, a Star Wars. This is before, like all the movies, a long time ago, a Star Wars TV show based on the Old Republic. Um, this was long before there was the Disney Plus streaming. So yeah, so we were hoping that Netflix would do that for years. So who knows? Who knows if it will happen or even Amazon does it. Amazon could be an option too. Um, but again, it's WB has the rights, so WB would have to sell them the rights to do the movies, and I don't know, or lend them the rights, whatever way they word it or do it, WB would have to do that. And since they need money, and they're not doing anything with the Snyderverse, like they should lend out the Snyderverse version of the characters and the actor. Because as far as I know, like I guess Jason Momoa is going to be playing a different role. Like he's supposed to be part of the DC universe, but he's not going to be Aquaman. He's going to be in a different role. So yeah, I don't. So they're not. I don't know if they're going to have an Aquaman, or if they do, they're going to have someone different, and that sucks. And Cal Gadot, I don't know if she's going to be Wonder Woman, or if she's even going to be involved, or anything. I have no fucking idea. But as of this time, Henry Cavill is not involved at all. Um, you know, so yeah, it's a big fucking mess. And like I said, I appreciate James Gunn as a director, but as being in charge, again, he's taking all the blame. If he's, I don't know if he's the one who's blamed or not, but he's taking it. So I don't know if he's just jumping on the knife or whatever. But yeah, I'm very pissed with the way things are going. And DC, and I dropped HBO Max because whoever took charge of HBO Max, the dude that was in charge of Discovery, sucks dick. And what the hell does Discovery know about entertainment? They do fucking natural fucking nature shows and shit like that. They don't know shit about real fucking entertainment. They know about fucking reality shit, real shit, not fucking entertainment. Yeah, they fucking ruined the fucking platform that was the best platform. Now is a fucking joke. It was the best, one of the best platforms. That and Disney Plus. So I actually paid another month because I thought I canceled HBO Max and I hadn't. So I was hoping it was this month that I paid, but it must have been last month. So I had to find Man Scale somewhere because obviously couldn't watch it there because I canceled my. And I don't regret doing it. I mean, yeah, there's some DC, but they canceled Titans, which I haven't even seen the last season, this current season of Titans, because I canceled my subscription. But they canceled it. And they canceled Doom Patrol, two of the awesome fucking DC TV shows. You know? They get some awesome DC TV shows finally, besides Superman, and they canceled them. I mean, CW had some great ones. Those all been canceled. So now there was a fucking like 10 superheroes, DC superhero shows. Now we're back down to fucking one. And who knows how long that will last. It's fucking very popular and it's really fucking awesome. Superman and Lois, but who knows? I mean, I think Tyler Hoechlin plays more of a Christopher Reeve type Superman, a someone to look up to and get behind. Which I love Henry Cavill, but he definitely plays a different type of Superman. Um, you know, Tyler Hoechlin. I'm not too fond of his 5 o'clock shadow, but I can deal with it. My mom, we had this discussion before she passed. She did not like Tyler Hoechlin. She can't stand the 5 o'clock, and she didn't even like his acting. And I said, well, he plays the character more like Christopher Reeve, which she kind of upset because she absolutely loves Christopher Reeve and is still her favorite. But I'm like, I love Christopher Reeve too, but I like Tyler Hoechlin and his character. His portrayal of Superman is closer to Christopher Reeve's version than any other version. But anyways, she loved the show, but she doesn't like Tyler Hoechlin. Or didn't. Fortunately, she never got to see season 2. She passed before season 2 came out.
Yeah, I still have to see that new Lois Clark too. But
I have
I
not
have a
watched season
whole
3 yet.
other shows that I've been watching. Like right now, I'm binging the show Chuck. So
That show, I
but
signed a petition to bring that fucking show back, and I would still sign it again, dude. I hate that they ended it. I mean, they ended it. They didn't end it on a cliffhanger. I won't spoil it, but they definitely ended it. So it could have been more. It could have been way more, way more. So I fucking love that show, dude.
I know
That show was awesome.
I tried to get Tammy into it, and she said it sucked. I was like, what?
Yeah, she sucks.
You know, but
No offense. That show is fucking awesome.
oh, none taken. But
That show is
speaking of
fucking
which,
awesome.
she wants to go on about Silence of the Lambs next week. So
Oh, cool!
And because
Where you been? Where you been, dumbass? Dave said
because
that like
I'm
last
after
week.
her. Because I'm after her, I want to do Manhunter. So
Manhunter.
Do we really have to have the same
because
fucking movie?
Manhunter was first.
Exactly.
Manhunter, is it from 1986?
Also, I kind of like the contrast between the two Hannibal Lecter.
Why don't you do Batman versus Superman?
Huh?
Why don't we do Batman versus Superman as a sequel?
Why can't you do that? Because I'm saving that for you.
Who says I'm gonna do it?
Because I know that you're gonna do it.
So, actually, I am, but I'm not gonna do Justice League after that.
But
I
figured we'll go back to our normal schedule of turns.
I mean, don't fucking change the schedule. Just keep it the way it is. I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, you mean whose turn is which? So now Cammy is now after
me. Yeah, she wanted. She decided to go to car clubs, and I don't mind switching, but I don't like the switching and switching back and switching and switching back. That doesn't make sense. Just if we switch it, we just switch it. And who knows how many more car shows they're gonna be and she's gonna miss. So we don't even know. I mean, I guess she's planning to be here next week because she chose movies. So, but other than that, we don't know how many times she's gonna miss. So.
Hey, I was originally gonna go with she loses a turn. So, but. That's not fair. So
well, actually, it is fair, but we all agreed that it'd be fine to switch. So, well, I agreed. I was like, yeah, whatever. And either way, I would have had to this turn now. But I like. I mean, sometimes Sammy has some good choices, not always, but I mean, I guess I got an excuse to watch Silence of the Lambs now, so I know I wouldn't lose
it. Well, in any case, hopefully you ladies and gentlemen that are out there listening to us have enjoyed our discussion. I know I did.
Sorry it was long, but I'm long-winded.
And let us know down in the comments what you thought of our discussion and what you thought of the movie, if you get a chance. And we'll definitely see you next week. So hopefully you'll be back, and we'll have a good time. So I know there are two of you who haven't seen the movies, either one of them actually, and I personally like both of them for different reasons. Though I do think that Anthony Hopkins does it slightly better.
You're talking about those movies.
Well, no, we're not talking about both movies next week. We're gonna.
I said you're
I'm
talking about
choosing
those movies. When you said both movies, I thought you were talking about Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
No.
Exactly. I realized you're not.
In any case, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. So everyone say good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good day. I said good day.